Good morning, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of the Neighborhood Ambassador Citizens Academy. Thankful to be here. So today we are going to hear from 2 departments today. It's a dual segment. We'll hear from Property Management and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. As a friendly reminder, we have light snacks and refreshments to the right of me, your left, restrooms to the back. And as a friendly reminder, please refrain from bringing snacks and refreshments in the chambers with the exception of water. So without further ado, we will turn it over to Commissioner Ballard.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 4 of the Neighborhood Ambassador Citizens Academy. So I am so excited to welcome y'all here today to talk a little bit about property management and the convention center. So we have done some pretty intensive work and are still doing some pretty intensive work on our convention center, which will really make a huge difference in the city of Palmetto, that entire area. It's going to be a huge economic driver. And not only that, but it's going to diversify our tourism economy a little bit. So we're not going to be as reliant on just those for pleasure tourists, but we'll be able to spread out a little bit more into business travelers, which is a wonderful thing, and I think is really exciting, really necessary. Our property management division is absolutely excellent, led by Carrie Knight, and I'm sure that he will tell you anything and everything that you need to know, and more. Is there anything else that I need to be talking about here? Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate the opportunity to represent people of District 2. For those of you that don't know, District 2 is Manatee Memorial Hospital out to I-75, and then it goes down like a funnel into Oneiko and Samoset and ends at 63rd Avenue. And then on the north side, I represent pretty much the entire city of Palmetto, up to Palmetto Canning Company, and then out to Southern Ellington. So if there's ever anything that you need, please feel free to reach out to me. Some of my biggest areas of interest do deal with some of the issues that we experience and deal with in our urban core, issues relating to substance abuse, relating to homelessness. And so we are working on some really great initiatives relating to those issues. And I'd love to take an opportunity at some point to talk to you all more about those initiatives, because I think they'll make a real difference for quality of life for residents all over the county, not just those who are struggling with those types of things, but also for those of us who, just want to be able to enjoy our downtown areas, and not deal with, people who are on the streets and not getting the help that they need. So thank you very much, and I will turn this over to Carrie. No? Yes? Okay.
All right. Was property management involved with this last year? So this is our first year. So we don't really know a lot about the program. So I'm a little curious about. Actually, I know you're curious about us, but I'm kind of curious about you guys too. And it doesn't have to be formal. Can you just shout out what made you want to be part of this program? What was it? Is there anybody? Lack of total knowledge. Okay, that's great. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead. Conservation areas. That's great. Well, that's awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, property management is often mistaken for the building department. We are not the building department. But we have to pull permits, just like anybody else. So we feel your pain sometimes going through that permitting process. Basically, I'm kind of up here to just do a little bit of an overview of what property management is, and it doesn't. Different counties are different. So, at some counties, you might have a facilities department, you might have a parks and recs department. The things could be aligned a little bit differently. The big takeaway for Manatee County is within property management, you have your what would be your facilities department or all your county buildings, and constitutional officers can't own property, so all of the property must be owned by the Board of County Commissioners. That means all of the sheriff's buildings and some of those other buildings. We're required to provide the space for the 12th Judicial, but they can't own the space. So we end up having to build it and maintain it. So from a building perspective, we have those things. We have the energy and sustainability. So we've had Doge before Doge was around. So we've been doing building energy efficiencies for years, starting with a central energy plant that was done years ago, and then moving buildings to more LED and more resilient and better efficiently built. Us knowing that the sooner we can open our parks and our buildings for our county government gets the community back to business after a hurricane. So we're working very hard to make sure that our buildings are resilient so that we can get back to business, so you guys can get back to business. The biggest driver of recovery for post-storm is economic recovery. So when you talk about property management, we have the survey division. So we have the county surveyor, Danny, give him a big wave. They're all not as I don't know. I can stand up here and talk all day if you want me to. I don't really care. But we also have parks, and Carmine's in the back. We have the maintenance side of parks. Obviously, sports and leisure is the rec side. So at some counties, you will have parks and rec. We have the maintenance side. So we maintain all of the park grounds, all the park buildings, all the county buildings, including all the libraries. So we have Dave over here, and Carmine, and then Jeff. We picked up stormwater maintenance this last year. And so Jeff is new to our team, and Jeff helps with the stormwater maintenance. So now you see a lot of the canals getting cleaned up and Gamble Creek and things like that. So we have the stormwater maintenance. We have energy and sustainability. Hallmar's got that piece. Property acquisition. Peter's got that. And Brandon has buildings and all the wonderful things that we were talking about, a door that was off its hinges today, and people couldn't use the bathroom on 7, so they were upset that they had to walk to 8 or 6. So, and then we have Michelle, who came to us recently, and she heads up construction services. And that's a department that, builds your new libraries, builds the new EMS stations, does the major remodeling projects, things like that. So we all work in harmony as one big happy team. And then my deputy, Carmine is my deputy on the parks and grounds side. And then Charles is right here in front, is my deputy on the other building side. So that's kind of property management in a nutshell. I introduced Peter. Did you miss that? Yeah. So basically, we're the team that basically builds it, maintains it, and we do a lot of the community outreach as far as with our partners here, as far as getting the feedback from the community to make sure that we're building what's in the best interest. And we obviously lean heavily on our commissioners for that because they're the ones that are having the town halls and out there with you guys all the time. But we are learning, we are listening, and we are trying to make that our parks and our buildings as efficient for our community as possible. So, and I'll give you an example. You know, some of the little things that people really don't talk about a lot, or you guys don't hear. We had a roof across the street on the what we call the JC, the Justice Center, and it was damaged in Hurricane Ian, and the staff missed it because the roof membrane lifted and then it set back down, so you couldn't tell that it was damaged. And then the next hurricane came through and lifted it and then ripped it, and then we saw the damage, and then we got into it and didn't realize and put it under the hurricane damage. Well, when the engineer did the inspections, they said this was damaged before. So we worked with FEMA, and they allowed us to, they reopened Ian and allowed us to put that project under Ian. That roof was $1.5 million. So by putting that through on Ian, the hurricane recovery or the hurricane projects are done as a grant portal. And I think we only had to pay 8% of that roof. Before we put that roof on, we said, hey, the current codes require 155 mile an hour wind loads. Could we make it better? So we went to FEMA and we said, is it possible that we could do a 200 mile an hour, 250 mile an hour wind load on that roof so that the next storm that comes, we don't have an impact on court? Now, obviously, anybody who's arrested has to have an appearance within a certain period of time. Your public defender will tell you that. So having our court system accessible immediately post-storm or even during that period of recovery is extremely important for our process as a government. So we went back to the contractor and we said, just how much more would it take to do that? And they said, $7,600 and some dollars. That's like a tenth of a percent. FEMA approved it, and we did it. And really what it came down to was just the different way in which the membrane was attached. So that's one of the examples of what this staff does that's so impressive that you just don't have time to stand up at a podium and you know, explain those types of things to the public. So with that, I think we should let me stop speaking. And we'll go on to construction services.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Good morning. My name is Michelle Worley. I am the manager for construction services in our property management group. A little bit about us. We have about 24 employees. They range from being senior tradespeople, where we do work, our own work inside our buildings that are like smaller things like renovating breakout rooms or creating a new office or upgrading some part of it, to then I have construction coordinators, and they're the ones that are really on the job sites during construction, managing to make sure that things are going in the way they should be, and tracking progress. And then we have project managers. So we manage projects from start to finish. So we do a lot of the planning that goes into. Are you laughing at me?
No. Not you. Obviously, we're a very easygoing group.
But if I would have known that, I would have had jokes to come in today. So we do a lot of the planning for the bigger projects, and you'll see a couple of them that I have on here. And then we also do like internal planning for some of our smaller stuff. I work and my team works really closely with our entire property management group. So we work really close with Brandon and what's going on in the buildings. We work really close on what's going on with Carmine and Dave in the parks. While we're separated, we really work closely on making sure that we're doing the right things and then also supporting each other. Right now, we have well over 150 projects just in my group alone, and that's well over $400 million worth of work. So that, again, that's small projects all the way up to some capital projects.
It doesn't include the 143 buildings or properties that were damaged by FEMA.
Correct.
which is another 50 million at least in hurricane damages just from last year's percentage.
Right. We have a lot. Yeah, you have a question. So really our QA, so QA we leave a lot up to the contractors expected to do QA on their own, but we do have our coordinators, our construction coordinators go to the job site and they're like our QA for our county side. And then we also have, just like everybody else, when you do projects and you have permitting and inspectors, the inspectors come to our projects as well. So they're from the other part of the county. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Well, I think maybe one way to answer your question is we don't design the buildings. So our buildings are designed by the architects and the architects become the engineer of record. So when there's a pay app during construction, the engineer of record is supposed to inspect and sign off on the work. Well, that's what we're driving. So they sign off on the engineer, they sign off on that the work follows conformance to design specifications, because our conformance to design specifications are a lot of times in excess of minimum building code. A lot of times of what we're doing, you heard about the roof. So we have a standards book that we give every architect of what our county standards are. So if BFE, base flood elevation, county code, or for county buildings and county projects, we're BFE +1. Sometimes we might try to, in a high-risk area, where we can, we might try to go BFE +2 or 3. So we're building a lot of times in excess of minimum building code to make sure that our buildings are as resilient as possible. That contractually and legally is on the engineer of record. And then we hold them accountable so that when our staff goes out and sees things that don't conform or don't appear to be in conformance with design specifications, then they raise that and push that onto the engineer of record to be responsible and to weigh in on that. That might be the legal QA QC that you're thinking about. Is that? Well, you can come to us after. We don't want to digress too much.
So we do have a couple of master plans we're working on as well on a couple of sites. So our group will pull in all the other parts of the county that will have functions there, but we'll kind of lead the master planning of it. And then, as Carrie said, we support anything that happens from a disaster perspective, FEMA. So we work really closely amongst our groups within property management to make sure we do go out to the buildings to identify any damages that are there, document that, and work through the FEMA process to be able to try to find funding, grant funding that would support, that would not have to come out of county funding. And with that, I think yep.
With regard to the EMS station out at GT Gray, I thought I read where that building was only up to 150 miles per hour winds. Is that true, or what's the wind level for sustainability at that station, the one by the fire department?
That's a harder question to answer than what you just asked, and I'll tell you why. The Safford-Simpson scale for hurricanes is based on 1 minute sustained winds. The building code is based on wind gusts, I believe, 15 seconds. Therefore, a Cat 5 building does not equate to a Cat 5 storm. So there's a lot of misperception as to what you're building and how you're building it. When we build a building, at my last county, we built an EOC that was considered a place, EOC where they would shelter in place. And that entire building was built to what's called FEMA 360, which is a tornado safe room. But instead of having a tornado safe room in the building, the entire building was built to as a safe room. And that building was 17 feet in the air to the lowest structural member, and 250 mile or plus wind loads, water, dual redundancy on power, could be off the grid for 6 days. So when you say, or when you, there's a level of for every building in this county, that if it's built to minimum code, which is 155, we're not going to have anybody shelter in place at a category 3 or higher. We'll have to have people pull out. And I would rather have, that's really an emergency management question, but anything that's coastal, I would rather pull those hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of apparatus out and then bring them in after the surge has gone, so that we don't have the added expense to taxpayers to have to replace those. We try to build everything that, especially, you know, if we have something on the island, we're in the process of going through that, of replacing most of the bathrooms on the beach. And you start to get, you're within the coastal control line, you're within the high velocity zone. I got a bug in my face. So it's how you build those buildings to be either wet flood-proofed or dry flood-proofed. Most likely those will be wet as flow-through structures. And then how you design those to handle a surge and then be cleaned out and be right back open for business. And that's what we're focusing on. But that's why, you know, I came in a little over about a year and a half ago. Came from the Florida Keys. So we're doing a lot to enhance our sustainability. Actually, what I believe that staff does right now is they go into the GT Bray building, and they shelter there for right now. And then we're in the process of getting a new generator out there because we have the ATS, which is the automatic transfer switch. If the power goes down from the grid, it automatically powers up the generator and transfers you to the generator. That little piece of technology. That's there, but the generator's not there. So there's some things we have to do out at that site. So.
Did you also need to, any of that $400 million you have in projects, however much you said, is any of that going towards the new administration building that we just agreed on to purchase, to upgrade out in Lakewood Ranch?
That 400 million, I believe, was before this presentation was drafted, before that building was on. So
Are you going to need upgrades there for sustainability?
That building fared pretty well after all three of the last storms. Primarily the only thing that needs to be changed there is the generators. They're 20-some years old and they're smoking. But we're working on a program with FP&L. So we're getting ready to do a feasibility study for the sheriff's jail. There's a program through FP&L where, because they're the provider of the power, they have a program where they will come in and engineer it for us. They will provide the generators, they will install, they will provide the emergency power, they will maintain them, and they will do it for 20 years. And then they take that cost of that project, they amortize it over 20 years, and then they add it to our power bill. And it's a lot cheaper because they can do all the engineering in-house rather than us hiring someone. And because this is their wheelhouse, power providing. So we're going to have them look at the new administration building as well so that we can defer that cost and it not be so. And then we have the experts who sit in the Emergency Operations Center representing power right there with us, who are actually responsible for those generators. So on our most critical items, that's kind of what we're looking for. Yeah. There's little things that we can do to buildings to make them more resilient, but 90% of the structure, as far as the structure is concerned, is how you build it when you build the building. So.
Another question, just to clarify. So the buildings that you're building for EMS, that is a single source, meaning, I say single source, I mean, you guys designed a blueprint and they're using it at different locations where you may put a EMS station. Is that correct? So you don't have to go through architecture new architecture stuff.
For locations that are just EMS, yes, we're going to try to use that moccasin wallow as the basis of design.
Is that different from the one at GT Break?
Yes. Yes. The moccasin wallow is a much cheaper structure and actually more resilient. It's a steel structure, so.
So is this the clicker? So just some recent projects that we finished. Parish Community Park Phase 1 just opened up within the last month. We did a football press box building at Lincoln Park. GT Bray Learn to Swim Pool, so that one just recently opened as well. John Marble Recreation Center, so that one's got a lot of interesting spaces within it for sports as well as community meetings over there. So the pool is in progress of construction right now. Not a couple years. I don't remember the date. The pool was, I think the pool will be completed, yeah, in mid 2026. So right now we're in the, I think we're just getting the GMP on that one.
Yeah, the GMP is going this week. Then or it's either this meeting or the 17th, but I know it's before summer break.
Mm-hmm.
The big issue with GT Bray, John Marble, I mean, I that's what I meant, not what I said. So, but how do I say this? There wasn't enough money to do the whole program. And then the pool was added after. So originally they were going to try to keep the pool. And then I believe Molly got promoted to director. They started looking at it. Angela, the project manager, the pool was something they wanted to do from the beginning. It wasn't approved. And then with the new administration and the new leadership, they said, this doesn't make sense. Let's add the pool. The problem is the building was already in design process. So then we had to design the pool as well. So that's why you've got a park that's half finished. And now the pool part is coming after. We're trying to make the best of not a great situation, but it would, we're staff. we kind of do as we're told. And at the time we were told we don't have the money for the whole thing. So unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit longer, but that's basically the gist is the pool was not included. And a lot of these projects are, especially on something like that, can take a year and a half, 2 years sometimes in that regard to get that in. So, and then by not having both phases done and designed at the same time, then of course there was the size of the water connection and the water connections and the number of meters and all the other little utility coordination things that creep up that would have been done differently if it was one big project at the first time. So a lot of that is how we spend our money. And that's why as staff, it's really important for us. We're going to be going after a lot of these other grants. One of the things that we talked about was resiliency. Hazardous mitigation, hopefully that doesn't go away. It's a FEMA program where we do hardening on roofs. Wind mitigation is one where we look at the envelope of buildings and we harden buildings. The other one is emergency power generation, where we look at power generation for critical facilities. Just so you know, those grant programs are a 5 to 7 year process. So really, we have to weigh a lot of times the immediate return, because a lot of times projects are looking at the immediate return so that elected officials can show progress, which is fine. But then we're also looking at those really long-term things as well, because we have to weigh those short-term goals and the long-term goals to make sure that we're pushing that resiliency, we're pushing that dollar, and we're stretching those dollars where we can get grants where we're getting 50-50 or 75-25, and I'm talking about the match where we're using, 50 cents on the dollar, or we're spending 25 cents on the dollar. We're pushing to go for those. So we were just awarded a grant for the special needs shelter at the Nolan School, which will pay for 75% of the cost of putting a new generator there, which of course helps with emergency evacuations and things like that. So, yeah. Did that answer? Yeah.
And bear with me, I'm only here, I'm new to the county, so week 8 for me. So Carrie knows the history on some of the projects that I'm still trying to get caught up on. And then recently, there's a lot of work going on at Premier Park. So recently, we completed some of the fields. The library was completed last year. And then if there's no other questions, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Schumer.
Thank you. Hey, yeah, my name's Dave Schumer. I'm the Parks Grounds Operations Manager. We are the ones that take care of all the parks, all the grounds, all the beaches, all the maintenance, medians, biggest division in property management. We got about 120 staff in our division, includes myself. I got about 15 supervisors, park maintenance techs, we call them. They're the ones out there doing all the work. A couple turf managers that help to treat all the grounds, and they're educated in turf maintenance. And then our custodians that go around and keep everything cleaned. So we're responsible for the maintenance and do a lot of projects internally in all of our facilities. We're based out of our 65th Street office, which is in the middle of Manatee Golf Course. That's kind of our main hub, but then I got staff and crews spread throughout the county, so we kind of cut down on travel time where they're focused on certain areas and maintain those parks in that area, so smaller crews spread all throughout the county. Again, we work closely with all the different divisions we have in property management, along with sports and leisure, because they do all of our programming. They're the ones that tell us, who's out on the field, so that we're maintaining it for. So, we got a good relationship with them. We work together. We work with Michelle and her team because they're building projects in our parks. We're the ones taking them over when they're done, so we want to set them up the way they can be maintained. So our parks side of things, we maintain 40-plus parks, all the grounds, facilities, athletic fields, playgrounds, tennis, basketball, pickleball courts, parking lots. And we maintain everything in the park. We have 8 main facilities that are kind of our hubs and we'd call them our premier parks, our highly maintained parks. That's where our athletic leagues play. Go ahead. You ever refurbish your playground? Yes, I'll get to that. The old ones? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times, we normally dispose of them. There's, at that point when they're getting replaced, things are rusted out. A lot of times you're cutting things just to take it apart, and it's really not rebuildable at that point. It gets tough. We've tried with one, and it was difficult to donate to a church, actually. They were able to get some things out of it, but it gets difficult at that point when they age and they're at the point of replacement that, to actually kind of disassemble in a way it could be reassembled. If that makes sense.
The biggest issue with that is it becomes compromised once you remove it, and it opens up the door for liability.
How do you reassemble? When you say the word liability, that's one of the things that the executive director implements with the basketball court instead of being implemented. So what do you do as far as money seems to be the issue?
Yeah, everything, it's going to cost more taking your time trying to disassemble everything and piece by piece to a point where it can be rebuilt. So then money becomes an issue, but it's even, bolts don't even come apart anymore. They've been rusted, and, you got to cut everything off. And
such things. They're private, so I guess that's different. But when you get the project house voucher, which is governmental, so I think Calhoun, is he the one that still is working with that as executive director? Or is it, this was,
I'm not sure. You know anything about it, Carl? That'd be maybe more from neighborhood. Okay.
well, there's Manatee County, actually, I'm talking about the Manatee County, actually, executive, electrical agreement, board. Right. As far as, the Manatee County, my interest is to learn how you are affiliated, or what is the implemented as far as project, property management, or, parks, where, what duty or procedures that we do are being supported.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why I'm here.
okay.
I'm here to learn how Manatee County collaborates with the executive director. So you guys don't work at all with,
Yeah, but no, the answer to your question is no. This group maintains county parks. That's the window of what they do. So GT Bray, Tom Bennett,
Yeah.
DeSantis Park, they maintain all county parks. That's
Yeah, yeah. So we're more on the maintenance side of things out there. You follow our crew. Yeah, like I said, yeah, our main parks are GT Bray, Palmasola, Blackstone, Lincoln, Buffalo Creek, Braden River, Lakewood Ranch, and Premier Sports Campus. We maintain that. The county purchased that in 2018. That's actually where I came from originally. So that's our kind of our private sports facility. And that's where a lot of our crews are based out of around the county. And then we got another 30 some smaller, we call them passive parks that don't necessarily have the higher maintained athletic fields and the leagues playing out of them. So those groups, those parks in that area, they maintain those. Also, they're handling the boat ramps. We have about 10 boat ramps in the county. We maintain those. So we do a lot. We do a lot of projects, internally, between our staff. We have a special projects crew that, we build fields, build dog parks, handle a lot internally, so it cuts costs from design, hiring contractors, all that, where we can get it done in-house and just buying the products. Right now, we're in a big project. We're converting all of the athletic field lighting into LED lights. We've done all the parks besides Palmasola. They got hit pretty hard with the hurricane, but that's going to be starting soon. Premier, we're adding lights there, and Greenbrook Park, we're adding lights that just started this week over there. Also, we've planted over 200 trees, beautifying parks in the last few years. And then playgrounds, in the last 2 years, replaced about 10 playgrounds. Actually, John Marble Park, we were talking, that playground will be open on Monday. We're finishing that up today and tomorrow. So that's our newest one. That'll be coming next week. Then also like Lakewood Ranch, we built the pickleball courts there that are new recently. Dog Park, Old May Sims Park. So yeah, these are Lakewood Ranch parks. These are new lights. They're a lot more efficient, light more direct. You don't have to spill light out to other areas. It's a brighter field. Got a real good response from that. Save energy and kind of pay for itself over 20 years.
I love that top picture because you can see the lights, how they're very directional. So the old lighting used to just scatter light everywhere. And if you lived near a park, it would shine in your house as well. So now with these very directional LED lighting systems, they can be controlled by a phone. They're very, you can walk 20 feet behind the light pole and you're in darkness. It's crazy. But the field is perfectly lit. So if you're in your house across from the park, you can see everything over there bright as day, but it's not like headlights coming into your home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still going to be, there's still light in the distance, and you're still going to see it lit up. The other really cool thing you mentioned, but you didn't mention,
What was the payback period on the lighting? I thought it was
20 years. We did it at 15 for kind of a payback, but it was 20 years for maintenance costs. I mean, we were putting a lot of money replacing light bulbs. We do all that kind of stuff in house. So between maintenance costs, future capital investment where we won't have to spend money on lights, and then just energy savings from going to LED, it was about a 20-year payback where it pays itself off and at no cost. Actually, I live right across the street from Lakewood Ranch, and I walk over there, you can see it. You see the light, but you don't have that glare. It doesn't shine. It's really easy to look at. So it's been real nice. So yeah, we should be done with that by about August. All the parks and the whole project. So in less than a year, did the whole county in LED lights.
I don't know if that was completely clear. So the savings in power consumption.
The savings from the cost of the electricity over that 20-year period pays for all maintenance, construction, and the new lights. Plus, the new lights are energy efficient, don't have as much light pollution, and they're lower profile. Plus, with the new poles, they're built to the new standards, so they're more resilient in storms. None of the new systems that were installed recently had any impact from Helene or Milton. So,
plus we were able to get a 20-year warranty with this. Where normally like a retrofit like this, it would be a 10-year warranty. So we that covers all labor and maintenance and issues for 20 years. So essentially takes us out of the lighting business for 20 years, which is a good thing. Playgrounds. Here's a few of the playgrounds we've done recently. The top left, Country Club East, the beach, we've had a couple. GT Bray, Tom Bennett Park, the bottom middle one. That's one we did last year. It's all inclusive playground, one of the biggest ones we got in the county. Turf, largest one if anyone's been out there. Grandkids or kids out there. It's a beautiful place.
For the Kiwanis Club. They're the
Yep,
ones who-
yep. They donated the money for that, and it was about 800-some thousand. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, they were great partners with that. Great to work with. We're also building a splash pad right now. They're hoping they're ready by 4th of July. Kind of just building that park up. That's kind of a nice one where you don't have the athletic fields and the leagues and all the traffic, but you got a lot of outdoor and disc golf course and a lot of good just nature and places to play and do things. So it's a real popular park right in the kind of central area of the whole county. Like I said, in John Marble, that's the next one that's coming, and then Manatee Palms and Country and Greenbrook Park this summer will be adding new playgrounds there. So kind of my goal is over the next 5 years to have every playground in the county replaced. Good.
What is the relationship between your area of responsibility and the actual golf courses? Because I know that there's contractors that manage it, but who maintains the trees? The trees are still down. The pines are dead. How does that get cleaned up?
Yeah, the golf courses we're just essentially run a contract, and it's now Fusion Golf that essentially runs the golf course.
Are they responsible for the down oak trees and the dead pines and all that, or?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Within the contract and the lease agreement with them, it's partially ours and partially theirs.
Okay.
But if you have an area that's not getting taken care of, just let Dave and I know, we'll take care of it.
I'm glad to.
But generally, we're not on the golf courses.
Well, I understand that, and I have spoke to the leisure department, and maybe one of these gentlemen is who I've spoken with, that they don't get out there, and with the previous contract person, they were,
Now you got a cell number.
yeah. I mean, they didn't, you couldn't really go out there and surprise them. I mean, I guess you could,
Yeah.
but there was no oversight by what they were doing, which is why at least Buffalo Creek went into such disrepair.
Yeah.
The course. I mean, it was
And we
miserable
love it.
until Fusion Golf got.
We love the phone calls, quite frankly, and that might sound crazy to you, but we do, because, when we have a contract with a company and they're supposed to be doing certain maintenance and certain things, and they're not getting them done, and we're off, 99% of his time is running around county parks, not running over to the golf course. So You guys being eyes and ears, we need to know that. We need to know it. The commissioner for that district needs to know it. And if it continues to happen, then the county can take a stand and say, look, is it time that we reconsider this partnership?
And that's what you did with the
Yeah.
previous
Yeah.
contractor.
Yeah.
Because they were miserable. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, and part of the contract too is the USGA agronomists are required to do an inspection once a year on each course.
Yes.
So that we get those reports, and then we'll go through, and if there's things we
Yeah,
cause, say,
but
hey,
that's
you got to
once
fix.
a year. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's your park,
Yeah.
somebody needs to drive it at least once a month, and especially after a hurricane to see what that damage was, because I play out there almost twice a week.
Yeah.
And you had trees down when the other guys had it. They were down for over a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Oh.
So,
I think that's,
I'm going to give a plug. Here's a plug for the budget. One of the things we don't have in property management is we don't have contract management. So we have, and this is one of the things that we're trying to fix. There's always, no matter what organization you're in, there's always going to be room for improvement. And one of the areas that we identified as an area of room for improvement is we have our procurement department that helps us and does procurement. They sit in fiscal. Then we have our fiscal staff that helps us pay bills. But we have a gap, and that gap is who's reading and enforcing contracts. And right now, it's just on random staff members who may or may not have any experience in contract law. So what we're doing is we're trying to, and one of our asks this year in the budget is the first contract manager, someone outside of legal who's not taking the place of a paralegal or infringing on our county attorney's office, their responsibilities, but someone who can look at that and better understand what the contract language is and then make suggestions to who is the person who's responsible after a storm. That's extremely important to spell out in those contracts so that when we go for that FEMA funding for reimbursement for cleanup, who's doing it, who has access to it, those types of things. I believe, I haven't read that contract recently, so I'm not sure, but I believe the golf courses are at first responsible. So we have to review that and go out.
And that's what I was gonna say, because I have spoken with people from Parks and Leisure, which is different than y'all.
Yes.
So they have a person that maintains those contracts, because I was speaking to them.
Contract Gabriel.
Yes.
He's kind of oversees that contract.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe it's just y'all getting with them.
Yeah.
And figuring this
We
out.
work a lot together with those
Okay.
people.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have meetings with them all the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
in the meantime, send me the locations and we'll get up there and take care of it.
You got
Yeah.
me to drive around the park, or the course? Okay.
No, this is fantastic because there might
8 o'clock next week.
be a gap there that we haven't found.
Well, I think that's, listening to this, that I've identified that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then we have to look at who's legally responsible after a storm. Because if the golf course is supposed to be the provider or the person who's legally responsible after the storm for maintenance, then in the eyes of FEMA, they're the ones who are also financially responsible. If it's the county, it has to be specifically spelled out that way. Otherwise, we will not be eligible for what they call FEMA PA, which is the public assistance portion, all the money they make available to local municipalities to immediately after storm do the cleanup. If that is not spelled out that way and we want to change it and spell it out that way, then their cleanup becomes part of our cleanup, and then it can be done while we're doing our bulk cleanup
Yeah.
all over the county. But that's not the way it's happening right now.
thank
So.
you.
Yeah, and we can also get with Sports and Leisure, because their contracts manager, and Dave and I can do, instead of doing a biannual, we can maybe do monthly or even quarterly inspections at the golf course with the contract manager.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll get with you at break.
Of course.
I wanted to ask who or what determines where these nice parks are put up?
commissioners.
The commission.
Yeah.
You guys,
Okay.
you guys go to the town halls, you give that feedback to the commissioners look for where those opportunities are within their district, and then they bring the projects forward or they will give us direction to say, look at putting a park here, or look at expanding this. And then we put a business case together, and then all the business cases go to the budget. And then they figure out what they have money for and what they can move forward. And what they try to do is they try to even it out based on the need, based on the area, so that not all the money's going to Lakewood Ranch, not all the money's going to West County, and that way. And that's why you see there's a project going out at Premier, and there's a project going out at John Marble, and there's a project going out at Washington Park, and then there's some work going out at GT Bray, and then some of the other areas. King Middle School, we're working on a project there to expand and make a park accessible to the public. But really, that's the feedback, is that relationship with your commissioner for your district, but then also the two at large. So it's going to those things. This is why I'm so excited about the fact that you guys took the time to be part of this type of program and learn. And the better you can share that with your friends in your communities and people you live with, because, we're what, almost 500,000 in the county, and we have 25 people here? So, you really are becoming the leaders of your area. And I would never hesitate in contacting staff. You have a question, ask. So why is it being funded this way? Or how is it doing this way? If I'm not the right person to ask, I'll get you to the right person, because the better informed you are, the better you can help and feed that information to your commissioners, and then it can come down and be directed to staff to look at how do we do this and how do we do that, or can you add this, or what would it take to do that type of thing. So that's absolutely fantastic. And it's so much better to answer those questions in advance than just getting frustrated, coming to a commission meeting, standing at the podium, and then speaking information that's not correct. Because then it's just, it doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't help you guys get what you want either. So the better we can work together, then if you do come to a commission meeting, you're gonna be like, where'd they get all their information? Wow, that was really, that's great. Maybe we should look at that. So, we're here to kind of help each other. Obviously, we're your neighbors. We shop at the same stores, and we're just down the street from you. So.
Yep. 311's a great resource too. We get alerts there and, get them to the right people that can provide the right answers. So, 311, calling that in. Moving on, along with parks, we maintain all kinds of grounds in the county, all of our county buildings, the exterior landscape and grounds we maintain in all the county-owned buildings, includes libraries, places like this, all of our different facilities. Our libraries, we started planting fruit trees in there and growing those out to make kind of fruit gardens for people to pick. And then medians we take care of and renovate. We've done over 100 medians in the last probably 4 years since we started this program. Right now it's mainly Bradenton, TIF area, they call it. But we're working to get funding to move outside of that in different areas in the county. So we essentially gut them out, re-landscape them, beautify them, then we got a crew that maintains them going forward. So right now we have 2 crews, and as we grow, looking probably even going to grow that to a 3rd crew. And then also community gardens. We did a community garden recently at Elwood Park. Planted that. Manatee Health Department has one, and then we're working right now to building one at Alderwood Park over by the airport, and at Geraldson's farm out east. We just met out there yesterday actually on that one. So provide those, and between our the Ag Extension Office, they have the program they run it. You can become members, like $30 a year just to have access and have your plot and be able to grow what you want. And then beaches, we also maintain. And it was fun this last year with the hurricane up there, but we pretty much had 4 feet of sand that covered the whole island that we had to clean. So, but we handled all the maintenance for Coquina Beach, Cortez, Manatee, Bayfront Park, Palmasola Causeway, and our county boat ramps. So it's about 5 miles of coastline we maintain, raking the beach sand, all the parking lots, islands, facilities. I mean, we're pretty much, besides for bathrooms, as we were talking about 100% recovered out there from the storm and fully open, and they've been crazy busy these last few months with summer, and it's almost like a holiday weekend every weekend out there, it seems like. So it's they're out there, come visit them, beat the traffic, and get out there and find a parking spot because they fill up quick. But we maintain them. Go ahead.
What's the plan with the bathrooms at La Copina?
I can talk about that, yeah.
All right, so the bathrooms were damaged by hurricane, so they're eligible for that FEMA process. That FEMA process is not fast. Okay, so the immediate plan, FEMA would pay for Kaibos, portable, and we don't like those. So, so the tourism department, which is after us, which we're probably going to go a little long anyway, but the tourism department's helping us with trailer units that are air conditioned, a little nicer, and then we're also working on an ADA one. The initial trailer units apparently were that we're getting that were quicker to acquire did not have the ADA. And then the next ones that are coming will have the ADA. So we'll probably have an ADA Kaibo out there with a trailer. The big issue with there was the roundhouse, and then the one by the cafe, and the one by the cafe, and then the one by the south end. The south end can be repaired. The other two were complete losses, and you're being that close to the water. You're within you're within the coastal control line, so you're within basically. Even if you're an AE, they're gonna hold you to the standards of a velocity zone. I don't expect you to understand the FEMA floodplain things. It's been my life for the last 15 years, but coming from the Keys and then coming up here. But basically, it's going to be based on Longboat Keys floodplain rating, NSPF, or what is that? I forget the acronym this morning. It's the coastal floodplain. I think we're a 4 or a 5. Some communities, the lower you go, the more stringent it goes. So it will be based on their floodplain rating, their designation with FEMA, and the level of requirements that are going to be imposed on the redesign. That redesign will drive most likely a different structure, either a precast, prefab concrete structure, or a built-in-place concrete structure that has flow-through panels. So that is right now in the process of starting the design process. We had the proposal ready in April. They're doing a budget amendment that then the money will become available June 4th, 5th, after the thing. We basically, the thing with FEMA and the FEMA PA process is it's like a grant. So the county has to put the money out, and then through the process of doing the work can ask for reimbursements throughout the process. So it's at least it's not like we have to put the $100 million out all at once, but we do have to do this in phases. So we're getting ready to redesign those bathrooms, and then after we have the design, then we'll have to build them. It's going to be that way for a couple of years, unfortunately. Yeah, we're looking at, it's not going to be a fast process. It's going to be a while. But the beautiful thing also is, according to FEMA, hold on with the questions just for a second. According to FEMA, it has to be to minimum building code. What they say is it has to be built like for like. So if it was this structure before, you have to place it with this structure again. You can't increase it unless it doesn't meet code. So now what we're doing is we're working with the building official out at Longboat Key saying, okay, what is going to be the minimum code for how we build this building? Can we have flow through? That's wet flood proofing, which is the water that flows through the building, comes through, we wash it out, and we go back to business. And that's what we're going to try to do out there. Minimum code might also dictate that 6 stalls is not no longer meets code for the amount of people we have. So through this process, to meet minimum code might be a more resilient building and might be a larger structure. So the pain is worth the end result, is what I'm trying to say at this point, because you're probably going to end up getting a much more resilient structure and a structure that meets current codes as far as capacity for the number of people that we see at the beach. Unfortunately, we're going to have to live with trailers for probably a couple of years. So.
When are the trailers coming in? 'Cause they're
The
not-
first one got hooked up yesterday and today and should be open this weekend at the cafe. We're working on electric on the other one to get out there in the next couple of weeks over by the roundhouse.
Okay, thank you.
So you're telling how many restrooms are?
There's the women's side has 5 stalls, the men's side has 2 stalls and 3 urinals, and they're all AC, flushable bathrooms. We're plumbing them right into our sewers, so it's not that we had to pump out every other day or electrical AC. So they're pretty nice. They look like a nice bathroom inside, at least. It's a lot better than a porta potty. Yeah.
I realize this is above the decision-making level here, but since DOJ is talking about totally eliminating FEMA at the federal level, and what kind of contingency planning is the county doing? And the problem is all in our lap with no money?
Well, yeah, so, I really don't think FEMA is going to go away. I think the dependency on FEMA has grown beyond what the original intent of FEMA was. So I think they're pulling back what FEMA's intent is to do. But I think the best thing we can do as a community is to look at how we're building and where we're building and do things in the most resilient way that we can. If I was a private homeowner, I would not expect much from FEMA. FEMA comes in for that immediate disaster response, and then it goes from there. Really, it's based on building as resilient a structure as you can and having your insurances in place and having that. And then the county is going to have and already does have reserves. I mean, that's the whole point of reserves. Just like if you live in an HOA, those reserves are critically important because they have to fund, what you need to do to repair. So really it comes down to not only how we build, but how we maintain and how we build our structures to be able to be more resilient so that we're back to business quicker and sooner. So we have to start taking a long look at what we're doing and how we can do it better. And we've already started that from the county perspective. So hopefully we can be ahead of the curve if that becomes more of a state response. I don't know if anybody's seen the graphics of the number of major storms that have made landfall since 2017, but it's almost like a complete line up and around the Gulf, and it's just nicely scattered. So this is right now. This seems to be the life, and only time will tell. But yeah, if that went away for our current projects, then we would have to have the conversation. Our commissioners, unfortunately, would have a very difficult conversations of what projects do we not do to fix the damage that we have, because that's, the only other way to get more money is taxes, and nobody wants to hear that. So, yeah. So that's why grants become so important, and then that's why I think it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if I don't know if you've had a presentation from government relations or they're this year, but having that grant team now, getting departments more focused on grants, getting those things in. That's the things that we have to do now to build us more resilient, so that we're less dependent on help when those things happen.
Can you refrain from any further questions to the end of the presentation, just to allow adequate time for the next presentation?
Yeah, because I think we're going to, if you guys don't mind, We're supposed to take a break at 10:20, but we've got a couple other divisions to get through. So let's go on to building real quick.
Do we have deductibles for all these various grants and everything that we're seeking, or is it from dollar one?
Deductibles. What do you mean?
I mean, will they meet, say with FEMA or whomever we're trying to get money from? Do we have to pay the first, say, $12,000, and after $12,000 they'll kick in? Or
No, it doesn't work like that.
there is no minimum?
There is no. Well, there is a threshold of that we have to have a certain amount of damage to qualify. But once we qualify,
Percentage though, right?
it's a percentage, and I think the minimum project can be like $5,000 or something, $10,000. But most of our locations qualify, and then once we hit the threshold, then everything, and then it's a cost share. So they pay 75%. The state pays 12.5%, and then we pay 12.5%.
Get to the cost share.
No, there's no. It's not like a medical.
You're self-insured, basically.
I can't speak about the insurance because I'm not the risk department exactly, but we are insured. We are self-insured, but we also have backup insurance, and risk could speak more about what that. But it's not like a medical plan where you have to meet your out-of-pocket maximum before they kick in 100% or anything like that. It's any work you do, the cost share kicks in.
I promise we'll have more than adequate time at the end for questions. And if there's any questions that are not answered, we'll send over their contact information. Thank you.
That's great. They'll know next time to give us more time.
Exactly.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Brandon Bennett. I'm the division manager for energy, sustainability, and building operations and maintenance. I work in conjunction with Hallmark Patches, who will be giving our next presentation. He's my section head of energy and sustainability and can talk more about that. So primarily I have 65, give or take, people that work for me, from custodial to painters, HVAC, plumbers, electricians. But not only does our staff specialize, they're also generalized. So we take care of anything and everything that comes in with the facility. Our trade workers work over 2 million square feet of buildings, over 897 square miles of the county, all the way from the beaches to anywhere else in the property. So say that if you want a restroom that's on the park, that would be Dave and Carmine's. But if it's a restroom in a particular building that's not attached to a particular section, such as in this building here, that would be my department. So we also oversee all the contracts that come in. So I don't write the contracts, I write a scope of service. So I say I want an electrician that's going to work on A, B, and C. I provide that to our procurement division, who then writes the specifications for it to go out to bid. And we have over 100 contracts that we manage for those contractors. In addition to building maintenance, we also specialize in card readers, security cameras, generators, and audio video equipment throughout the county facilities. So don't have any exciting pictures to show anybody. It's not very exciting when you try to show somebody a picture of a ceiling tile.
Well, this is.
Yeah. So one thing we are really happy about is Homar and his team have designed a preferred building catalog, which has reduced the amount of SKUs when Carrie was talking about Doge. So if we have one type of tile, that type of tile goes into all of our facilities, and that way we standardize, we keep our costs down. So you're going to find the same door handle, the same light switch, the same ceiling tile, carpet, even though they might be different patterns or looks, they're all by the same manufacturer that give us a group cost at the best cost and allow us to maximize that. And it also increases the amount of, reduces per se, our maintenance time on those, is that we can buy in bulk and swiftly repair items that come in. So I'm also the complaint department. So if you lived in like a managed facility and your sink was clogged, they call me. So, and I do get a lot of emails and calls for people on personal property, because it seems property management, that if there's a tree down, if your fence was damaged, you don't like your neighbor, but I will happily transfer you to development services that can help you with your permit or anything else.
I think that's probably the biggest confusion people have with property management. The title property management is we only manage county-owned property and buildings,
Mhm.
not privately held. So anything that's held by the school district, any kind of strip mall or personal property, we don't really have anything to do with anything that's privately owned or held. So, yeah, mainly only just county-owned, you know, and for our team, it's mainly county buildings and county parks. And when it comes to right-of-ways or stormwater, it's just the stormwater and then mowing. So, outside of that, that's, yeah.
Hallmark?
Because I get those calls too. My neighbor's fence fell down. Like, I can't help you. But
All righty. Here it comes the fun team, man. So, to reassure a little bit of what Kerry was talking, no, we not only take care of our properties, but we have partnerships too as well. For example, my team is right now helping the school system to purchase a generator for the Nolan school system. So my team is providing all the technical expertise and all the resources that we have so we can have the equipment, because after it's installed, even so that it's under the school system ownership, but my team will be the one that in emergency situations, we will take care of the equipment, we will top it off and make sure that it's ready to go for an emergency too as well. To give you an example of things that we do as well, with other entities. But my department, let's talk about my little section. We are small, but I believe that we are mighty. We are 8 people in my department. We are 2 electricians, 3 audio and visual technicians that they do the security cameras too as well. I have 2 GIS, and we are hiring right now for replacement of my previous position, that I was the energy sustainability one, because I took the management part of it. Projects and what we do, no, we have some stats in here. We have 419 properties that we, in conjunction with Brandon Bennett, we take care of property and we assist with all the GIS information and the flow of information for those properties too as well. We have 1,224 cameras that my 3 guys take care of it, plus infinite number of card readers and batches and all that good stuff. We work with other departments like Public Works and HR, so we control the access, provide to as well the help to the EOC so we can lock our facilities and get ready for storms, or unlock it and provide everybody access. So please don't ask me for the passwords, because I'm not giving you the passwords. Now, generators. We have 39 generators around the county for different facilities, from county administrator all the way to judicial centers, convention centers, schools, libraries, shelters, you name it. And we have, I'm proud to say that my predecessors created the drone program, that it has been one of the programs that we managed to as well, that is under my belt. We have 23 pilots all around the county. We have done survey, that the survey department too as well have joined us on this beautiful adventure. We have around 15 drones, plus or minus, if my memory is not wrong, 23 pilots, and we have done surveys, emergency operations. We have done inspection for our buildings, roof inspections, thermal inspections, leak inspections. We help utilities too as well. They do ground inspections for their equipment and other good stuff for the dam too as well. It helps them to prepare for emergencies and regular operations. And Public Works, have used our drones too as well to make sure that they can do inspections, overview inspections to our roads, especially to the new road that is being built over 75. And I don't recall what is the name of that new road, but it's going to help us. Sorry? 44. It's going to help us with our issues with traffic that we have had. So that's another thing that my team and everybody that we have worked with, we help to that process. Our scope of work basically is to make a good flow of information and to provide assistance to anybody in the county, not only operations, but we help the sheriff department. For example, one of my GIS works have been to capture all the floor plans of all the properties around the county. We have put it in a GIS system, and now we are working with the sheriff department to provide that information. So if there is any case of any emergencies, they will have all that information to their hands so they can provide assistance or anything that they need for their emergency operations. Well, let me see how this works. Okay, cool. Some pictures that you could see, some drone operations or GIS too as well, that they work with my previous position. We did climate adaptation plans, resiliency plans. We have done maps that we help parks and grounds to do all the communities. We have worked with USF to do farming maps. We have done maps for procurement. We have done maps for financial, so they can do their reports to the state during the year. So we have done everything and anything that you can imagine. So, and we are still on the work for a lot of it. We are trying to do procedures, and we are working to do a master energy plan so we can provide some guidance to other departments and see what our future of consumption will be. Because, for example, one example that I have, and I give everybody, that our county, or little county, have a whooping $12 million plus or minus of consumption of electricity a year. So that type of number is the numbers that we handle, and we look towards to improve and make more resilient, more sustainable, and for the future of all of us. And what other things we do? Of course, that catalog that you have heard about, that my predecessors started, and we proudly have carried on with it. It have provide that base standard to all of our engineers and our partners that help us with all designs, so we can be uniform in the way that we operate the county. That's the intention. Not only that, it have helped us, because to give you an example, when I started here in the county, I was so surprised of the amount of carpet tile that we had. It was from the floor all the way to the roof. Impressive. And all this little book helped to reduce all that. We gain more storage and less storage of products that they were being like a graveyard of who knows. And we were able to reduce all that. I think that I touched. Yep. Yeah. Any questions that you guys have for me? Man, good.
Let's try to get through the next couple groups real quick. And I know you guys are supposed to take a break at 10:20. Or do you guys feel okay going another 5-10 minutes and just go through the next couple slides?
All right.
Got momentum.
Yeah.
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 I want your business card.
Of course.
I do too.
Oh, all right. I can be super brief. Oh, thank you. Hey, everybody. So I'm with the Property Acquisition Division. I was asked to be brief, but that actually works out pretty well because, you know, the first part of this slide right here, it basically just says that our division, we go out and we buy the land that the county needs. There's a lot of steps that go along with that, and my team, we manage that process. One thing that a lot of people don't understand, we don't pick the properties we buy. So different departments or divisions come to us, whether it's public works, utilities, public safety, administration, whoever, they come and say, hey, we need this building and we need it to be in this area. Go find us some land, or, here's our road project. We need right of way for you guys to buy, and we go and do that. Some of the other things we do, we handle all of the easements and surplus property for the county. So anytime the commissioners determine that a piece of property is surplus and no longer needed for the county, our division gets that property surplused and then puts it out for sale. Also, if anybody has any roads or easements around their property that they don't think the county needs or wants, we handle that vacation process for them. One thing a lot of people are confused about, they think everything the county does is eminent domain. It is not. My team and I, we buy voluntary land from people every single day. I would say eminent domain is a very small part of what we actually do. And when it comes to eminent domain, we pass that off to the attorneys. So we're not even the ones really doing that process. We try to go out and buy it voluntarily. If they don't want to buy it and the board determines eminent domain is appropriate, they move forward with it. Also, we have the environmental lands program acquisition part underneath us. So we have a specialized team who they handle going out, working with LMAC to identify what lands are good for environmental protection and conservation. That team presents these lands to the LMAC committee. They present them to the board. But again, deciding to purchase the land falls to the board. The board decides if we're purchasing land for conservation or not. If they direct us to do that, then that team moves forward with negotiating and doing essentially the same thing the rest of us do, getting that property under contract and purchased by the county. All right, so I'll pass it over to Danny and Survey.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Danny Swain. I'm the county surveyor for Manatee County. I've only been here for about 3 months, so I'm just a little bit older than Michelle here. But I'll tell you a little bit about what the survey department does. It's not a department that's out there in the front, right? You're not seeing what we're doing. Everything we're doing, for the most part, is behind the scenes. And so we support a lot of different departments within the county. And we do that by providing sketches and descriptions for acquisitions or disposals of land, boundary surveys of property that the county owns, topographic surveys to support public works and engineering, right-of-way surveys to support engineering. Some of the initiatives that we are undertaking at this juncture is we've started at just south of the South County line out at the beach, and we're actually flying LiDAR using drones in order to be able to map the entire beach so that if there, Lord forbid, another storm event occurs, then we have that data available so that we can then post-fly and immediately start applying for grant money and funds for beach restoration projects, right? So we're doing that. One of the big things that we do within the department is we review subdivision plats to ensure that they are in compliance with Florida statutes. This is extremely important. In the 3 months I've been here, I've reviewed for final review approximately 40 subdivision plats. There's probably another 25 or 30 that haven't even made it to my desk yet for a final review. The county's growing extremely fast. And so the role that we play in ensuring that the subdivision plats adhere to Chapter 177, which is what it would be, of Florida statute, is very important. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what we're doing. We are expanding the department. I'm very big into technology, and so I'm looking at, terrestrial LiDAR, mobile LiDAR, bathymetric surveys. I've started to incorporate the use of AI into subdivision reviews, and so we are trying to take advantage of technology in a manner that allows us to be quicker, more efficient, and better performing at what we're doing. So, but that's it in a nutshell. Let's see who's next.
I got to toot your horn a little bit.
Stormwater.
I know we got to move to stormwater, and I know we're overdue, but I just got to say, I don't know. How many people saw the pictures of the island and all the sand? Everybody saw the pictures of the island and all the sand? All right, so you may not know, does anybody know what LiDAR even is? All right. I get one, ground mapping. Yeah. So now we've got the ability. So we did high level and low level drones pre and post each storm. And we had the data in the EOC where we had a slide bar and we could select pre this storm, post that storm, pre this storm, post that storm. And we could slide the bar back and forth and we could see visually the damage between each storm or whatever beginning and whatever end. And we had all those benchmarks. We got to thinking, and Danny comes in and he interviews for the surveyor position. And he's telling us about how he built his own LiDAR. And Charles and I are like, we got to get this guy. We got to hire this guy. So not only does he build his own LiDAR, but we now have the ability to fly our own LiDAR. Why is this important? This comes back to, we talked about the fact that Dave talked about that we manage beaches. Well, we don't do the beach renourishment. That sand renourishment above and below high mean water line, the toe slope, all has to be correct for turtle habitat, for erosion. All of those things fall into place. That's handled by natural resources. But all of that sand that got moved up onto the island, how much was there? When you map with LiDAR, it will tell you the elevations of everything. It looks through the plant foliage and it tells you the elevations of the entire island with that LiDAR mapping, with that technology, because it's shooting those little laser beams all over the place as it's flying. So when you do that pre-storm and then you come back and do that post-storm and you can compare the two different ones, you can estimate the amount of sand that was moved onto the island with accuracy down to the yard. Why is that important? Because within a short period of time, we can take that, we can send it up to FEMA or to FDEM or to whoever and say, this is how much debris we have. This is how long it's going to take to clean up. This is how much renourishment we have. This is where our high mean water line has moved. And we can do that within a couple weeks. You can fly that, but then it takes a couple weeks to crunch the data. But that is kind of the amazing work that nobody ever hears about survey. But that's the amazing work that's being done within the departments. So, thank you. And yes, I'm new. Charles got promoted. Hallmar got promoted. Michelle's new. Brandon's new a couple years ago. We stole Dave from Premier. Danny came to us from, I think you're the only person who's been here a while, but yeah, there's been a lot of changes in property management. And I think the other thing you can see is property management, no matter what we do and no matter what department we are, we're a service-driven department because our customers may be internal, they may be external, but everything we do is service-driven.
Good morning, everyone. I was supposed to be the final act for this whole show here, and all of my opening acts actually took up all of our time. So I'm done. Thank you. Where are we at? Stormwater. Stormwater is a facility off of State Road 70, and we have about 60 employees that work out of that office, and we are responsible for a lot of things other than just stormwater. A lot of things that you wouldn't think of, like street sweeping, and let me turn our slide to our, wrong way. Nobody gave me directions for this. A lot of things that don't pertain to stormwater and drainage, like right-of-way tree trimming and road sweeping and stuff like that. So we've got a lot of different things that are handled through our department with those 60 employees. We have, like I said, a lot of different responsibilities, a lot of areas that we handle. I am Jeff Bear, by the way. I don't think I even said it at the beginning. I actually have been with the county for about 18 years and have lived in Manatee County for 39 years. So maybe I might be one of the only ones from this whole group here. Our main concern with stormwater is to make sure that the water that gets off of the county roadways can make its way through the conveyance systems, through the pipes, through the stormwater canals and drains, and make it finally get into the bays and the Gulf, actually. And that is our main concern. So why do we do street sweeping? Street sweeping actually is one of the things, or it's technically curb and gutter sweeping, is actually one of the things that's required by our stormwater permits through the state. And we're trying to make sure that the pollutants and the debris that's along the roadways does not get into the bay and into the Gulf and possibly cause algae blooms and things like that. So that is why one of the reasons why we do our street sweeping. We've got our pipe flushing and drain cleans like that. We're trying to clear debris out of it to allow the water again to flow through those pipes efficiently. Through our inlet cleans, same thing. We vacuum those out with a flush truck and clean out the debris from them. Again, trying to make sure that everything flows through those systems. Same thing with our roadside drainage. The roadside ditches that are alongside a lot of our roads, we're trying to make sure that the water flows through those ditches. While some water in them is designed to stay there to be able to absorb into the ground, we do want the water to flow in the correct direction as it was designed to an outfall. Done through the roadside ditch cleaning. Then we've got our canal cleaning. Those roadside ditches either go into a pond, which then flows into a canal, or they flow directly into a larger canal system like this. Some of it is done with specialized equipment like the Minzy right here. We've got about 208 miles of canal out there, off-road canals. That's the equivalent of driving from here to the Georgia-Florida border. We also do some infrastructure repair. Most of that is done by contract, but we do some small projects in-house like this. We can't get around to all of our canals with our canal cleaning, the excavators every year. So we do have maintenance that is done with just spraying. We spray the bottom of the canal with aquatically labeled chemicals. That controls the vegetation in the bottom, allows the water to flow efficiently. At the same time, because that's done 3 or 4 times a year, those crews are also inspecting those canals. They're finding blockages. They're turning that into work orders for other crews to go back in there to clean those blockages out. So it does allow for the inspections to be completed on all of these locations. That guy in the back there, looking like he doesn't know what he's doing, actually was me a long time ago. That was one of the updates I wanted to have them make to this slide presentation, but we don't need to. I think I'll just go to the next one. Along with those operations, in order to allow those crews to be able to drive along canals like that, some of those canals drop 30 feet down to the bottom, and you're driving in a very narrow pathway. To make that done safely, the slide on the left with the right-of-way or with the mowing, a lot of that is done just for the safety of our crews so that they can traverse through these areas without having unknowns, washouts, things like that. Allegedly, I might have actually driven through grass that might have been 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 feet tall at times, and you're inching through this grass trying to figure out if you've got a little more pathway to be able to before you drop into a hole or something. But I don't tell the attorneys or anybody else that might have happened. But we try to keep up with the mowing, and that eliminates that type of a hazard here. We also, at the same time, do some tree trimming and brush trimming along those canals, again, for our access. Right-of-way tree trimming, again, not necessarily one that you would consider to be a stormwater function, does not have anything to do with water. But we are responsible for making sure that the roadways are traversable by our emergency vehicles, our garbage trucks, our buses, things like that. By state and county standards, no tree or vegetation is supposed to be within 2 feet of any sidewalk or lower than 14 feet over any roadway or 10 feet over any sidewalk, ever. And that means if there's wind and it blows it down, it goes under 14, it's out of standard. If there's rain and the tree hangs down because of the rain on it, it's out of standard. So we trim, or our county contractors typically, they trim to 18 feet above all roadways and 10 feet above all sidewalks so that they're always within those standards. We've got about 1,500 miles of county maintained roadways in the county here, and we can get around with our tree trimming crews, or contractors, we can get around to most roadways within about 4 or 5 years. It is a lengthy process. Some of our standards. Another operation that we do is sandbag operations. Again, does. A lot of what you see on here, some of this has changed. We don't do full operations quite like the operations shown in these slides here, these pictures. We've morphed more into operations where we provide the sand, we provide the bags, we provide the locations, but we're leaving it more up to homeowners to come and actually load, fill the bags themselves, and instead of us making the bags for everybody. We do that on some limited basis, but most of it is going to be left up to the residents to fill those bags now. Questions?
On the sandbagging issue, how do you accommodate elderly and infirm people that might need sandbags that are unable to go and shovel them?
They give them a lot more time.
Okay.
With the 60 employees that we have, we are pre-storm. We've got about a dozen of them that are running around to all of our 208 miles of canal, trying to make sure that those are all open. They're flushing areas that we know we have issues with. We go out and send the flush trucks out to clean those out. So we have, let's say, about 20 to 30 staff members that are trying to make sure that all of these locations have sand, have sandbags. We do enlist help as much as possible, but as far as direct help, there's always going to be somebody at these locations to be able to assist people who do need it. There's always at least one person or two people there to help with that, but it really does come down to homeowners being able to at least make it to the locations that we have sand at, and if you need assistance, we can always provide it at that time, but there is some responsibility pushed back to the homeowners. We don't deliver typically to a home.
Well, I get that for normal people. I was just wondering for, real elderly or disabled.
It's case by case. In some instances, we have a disabled person or an elderly person. Are you referring to pre-made bags? They're already made?
Or, yeah.
I'll leave my card up here. If anybody has an issue with that, call me and we'll make a case by case decision on it. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I don't personally know.
Yeah.
I just wondering.
There's situations where we do, and we will make a special visit.
Well, you're also making sandbags available earlier in the season, so.
June 1st.
So you have the ability to go and get them and put them in a garage or something like that, so that you're not waiting to the last possible second, so that you have them available.
So you'll see it on our website, June 1st. We're going to implement this. It's the first time we're doing it. It gives a window of 6 to 7 months for those that want to be proactive to get out there and start bagging their sand in preparation for the storms. We'll start it at 7 strategic locations throughout the county where you can pull up. We'll have bags on site. We're not going to leave shovels because they disappear. You got to bring your own shovel. You can bag it and take them home this way. You're not in the chaos of the storms on top of us and people are fighting for sand.
I have a question. So county roads, county streets and neighborhoods, the tree trimming over sidewalks, is that the HOA that's responsible for that? The homeowner is responsible for that? there's an opportunity and a sidewalk? Or is that something we should call the county?
Ultimately, it's the county's responsibility. We would love to have homeowners make sure that the trees are above standards like that all the time. HOAs can help. Ultimately, it falls back on the county. It is county right away, county property, technically, all of our property. Typically it's not exact, but if you went to the center of the road and measured out 25 feet both directions, typically most of our right-of-ways are 50 foot wide, 25 foot each direction. Or if you find a utility meter on the side of your property, the meter is always going to be on county property. So if you figure just past that is where your property starts, and that is a misconception for a lot of people, is they think, well, I mow all the way to the road, I own all the way to the road. That's not the case. And a lot of people, we do get into our arborist has to have discussions with people all the time of, why'd you cut my tree? Well, your tree really isn't your tree. It's on county right away, and we can cut our tree because it's affecting that bus from going down your road without hitting it. And now we're as taxpayers, we are liable for repairing the damage to that. Or it rips off part of the apparatus on a fire truck coming to an emergency. The county ends up paying for those things. So,
But Jeff said one key piece of information, county right away. So if you're in an HOA in a gated community and those roads are private roads, then that's not county right away. So, yeah. So yeah, a lot of people get confused with that. Even post-storm, they'll get confused because city right away, not us. Unincorporated county areas, there is us. So even after storms, when they do debris removal, the city will have their own debris contracts. We'll have our debris contracts. They'll be doing cleanup in their areas. We'll be doing cleanup in our areas. If it's a state road, the state will, FDOT will be coming in and they have their cleanup in the state areas. So there's that kind of, when I was down at the Keys, everybody's like, why'd you clean up Key West before you cleaned up Big Pine? And really what it came down to was Key West was city municipality. Big Pine was unincorporated county. Different municipalities, different contracts, different boards. And so, anyway.
and like somebody said earlier, 311, call. You can always call that number. They'll or the app. I've done ones on a computer. I've done them in different ways, but they'll direct it to, most of the time, to the right people, but sometimes it's not right away, but it'll eventually get to the right people. They'll answer your questions and let you know if it's yours or your HOAs because you're a private subdivision or whatever.
And there's no dumb questions.
No.
There's just only uninformed. So
Thank you.
I know you had said something. You had your hand up back there.
I just wanted to make a comment, whenever we're doing storm prep or whatever, they're always like, check on your neighbors. This is related to someone who may be disabled or infirm and unable to do something. But it certainly seems that one of the things can be added to the check. I have a whole checklist post-storm that I've created based on work I've done in the last fall. But, looking at suggestions, see if the neighbor needs sandbags, I can tell you just because I decided not to color my hair anymore, anytime I've been to a sandbag place, there's always somebody willing to help me. And I don't really even need the help, but I'm like, yeah, you can help me put this one back in my car. But usually, they just think you have gray hair, you can't do something. So, but I do think that, reminding citizens how to help neighbors would be a good idea. So those things you could put out on the social. I just wanted to ask, is there any reason that with the storm drains, like the ones that you see, how come they don't put like a grid or something in front of to keep the trash from going in? The reason I ask is because there's a bus stop right at where the drain is. And of course the kids, they tell them they have the snacks and everything, and they put the trash. I've actually witnessed them pull a TV out, a flat screen TV out of the drain. And I often wonder, I'm like, why is there not something in front, like really something to keep out?
I know those are put on, the pipes basically is what you're talking about. They are put in certain places. From a maintenance side, there's a good and a bad to it. We have certain locations that we would always have to go to every time we'd have any kind of a major rain event, and we knew that those would be blocked. Because when you've got let's say a 48-inch pipe that is nice and round and open, a branch that's 22 or 24 inches long goes right through it. But as soon as you put something in front of that, now these pipes or the bars that go across that, now the opening is cut way down to a smaller, size, because it's blocking it. Now that 22 or 2-foot long branch catches on that, and then another branch catches on that. And before you know it, that whole thing is blocked up. The water now does not make it through that at all, or very, very slowly. It backs up on everybody else that's upstream of that and causes more problems that way as far as flooding. It's nice in some ways to be able to block it, keep the trash out, but because it becomes blocked so quickly, with debris, with branches, with leaves, with other stuff that's floating in there, it also becomes a maintenance nightmare in a sense, and somewhat of a flooding issue or a responsibility on that side for that. So
We can give you one of ours too.
I think I'm about ready to get the cane to pull me off stage.
I didn't realize that this was such a hot topic, so for next year, we know for sure to expand the segment. So if you have any questions, sorry.
No.
Oh.
I want to make one last comment. And since this is our first year being with this program, I would really appreciate if you guys have feedback, please give the feedback here, how we could improve this. Should it be expanded? Should we make it a little longer? Or were there other areas that we should have gone into? Like we talked about before, no organization is ever perfect. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes, and there's always room for improvement. So please let us know where we can improve on what we touched on today, or what we didn't touch on, or what you're hoping to hear about. And then, as always, know that at any given time, please let us know what questions you have. That's what we're here for.
Thank you. And if you felt that there weren't any questions that you weren't able to get answers on, please send us an email. We'll include their contact information. If you don't receive their card, we'll send an email with their information. So thank you so much from Property Management. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break before we turn it over to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we'll reconvene about 10:55. It's a little bit more than 5 minutes or under. So thank you. Alrighty, we are going to reconvene and hear from our Convention and Visitors Bureau department. We have the pleasure of having Elliot Falcione here present, which is the director of CVB, which is the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I will turn it over to Elliot.
Thank you. See if everybody's settled here. Good morning. Is it morning time? Yes, it is. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Kind of good. Good morning. How are you, sir? It's good to see everybody. I used to sit in the back of the classroom as well. That was usually when I got into trouble. So I'm going to keep an eye on you all in the back. It's a pleasure. People say, what's the hardest part of your job? And I don't know if it's hard, but there's two main areas that we keep focused on objective-wise on our daily routine is, number one, educate the community, what we do, why we do, when we do it, and balance, right? I may be a tourism director, and sometimes that scares residents, right? Traffic and busy restaurants, etc. But at the end of the day, I'm a community servant. So how do we find that balance by infusing new dollars into our community 12 months a year while enhancing the quality of life for the residents that live here? At the end of the day, that's it. There are a lot of variables and dynamics tied to that. Well, of course. So we're gonna dive into a little bit, give you a little overview. This is my security detail. Justin and Torcia does a great job. So I'm actually going to try to do the clicker until I get stuck. The yeah. So I'm the high maintenance department head. So what you have in front of you, we're going to go over the core, and then I have a little amendment towards the end. Kind of wanted to immerse you all on how we handle tourism coming out of adversity and like the hurricanes. Okay, I think it's really important because things just don't turn on and turn off organically. So thank you, Justin, as well. So let's get the blood flowing here a little bit if we can. And Justin, is that? I think I did. That looks like a PDF. If not, we'll hold on. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. I am one step above an idiot in regards to technology. As you'll all figure out, you'll say he's not the smartest director in Manatee County government. And I acknowledge that.
The laid-back charm
there we go,
of
right
island
there.
life, while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
There you go. That's called out-of-home advertising, just to get the blood flowing. 1 minute is the optimal video length from a prospective visitor. I'll share some tidbits. So, yes, we are a department of Manatee County government known as the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. We can go up to downtown Tampa, downtown Orlando, and ask people what a Convention and Visitors Bureau does, and 9 times out of 10, they won't have a clue. So I usually go by Tourism Bureau. We may actually have the board, we may suggest that we change that. But why do we go by Bradenton Area and not Manatee County? Okay, a lot of people ask that question. If I told you all I'm going to Pima County this weekend for vacation, where am I going? You're a very smart lady. Tucson, Arizona, most people would say, okay, if I said Tucson, you'll know where that is. Pima County. If I say I'm going to Allegheny County for this weekend for vacation, most people don't know it's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So you go by geography is really important in your brand elements. God bless the Tourist Development Council and the Board of County Commissioners at that time when we went through a rebranding process to agree to the truth. So we'll get into branding a little bit as well. We are funded by a tourism tax. So the guy that you're looking at and the guy that's supporting me with the staff at the convention center in Palmetto are all funded by the tourism tax. So we're not hired and paid by the ad valorem tax, our property taxes, or any of the initiatives that we do. So that's exciting. So when you have, you stay in a hotel, anything that rents 6 months or less, hotel, motel, single family home, a condo, duplex, triplex, fourplex, if you're renting less than 6 months, you're required by law to file with the tax collector to register to collect 6 pennies on the dollar. And then, of course, you're also required for the 7% sales tax. The residents passed via referendum last November to levy that additional penny known as the 6 penny. That in a normal year, I'm a conservative guy, should generate $8, $9, $10 million. Okay? And I'll tell you how we put that to use as well. Okay? That finished in 24, we were right around, I'll get into that, it's on the next slide, but it looks like this year we're going to generate about 38 million. We may hit 40, once again, depending on any kind of adversarial occurrence. By law, you're required, the Board of County Commissioners are required by law, if you're levying a bed tax, to have a Tourist Development Council. So they are advisors to the Board of County Commissioners. You know, like the Planning Commission, they advise the board on planning and development. We have a Tourist Development Council that advises them on tourism-related initiatives. I saw Commissioner Ballard in here, unbelievably intelligent lady, great community servant, leads our TDC. Mayor Jean Braun, the city of Bradenton is guaranteed a seat as the largest municipality in Manatee County. So Mayor Braun appoints himself. Dan Diggins is with the City of Holmes Beach, elected official, retired aerospace engineer. He investigated the last space shuttle tragedy. A brilliant man and a great ambassador of what we do. And then you have Dave Wick and Norma Kennedy as interested citizens. So actually, if you live in Manatee County and you're just a resident, whether you're still working or you're retired and you're interested in tourism and you want to give the board advice, you could apply for a seat like that. And then you have 4 hotel, motel, or let's call them short-term rental seats. You must be an owner or at least a general manager of your short-term rental to be eligible for that seat, okay? They are 4-year terms. They don't all renew at the same time, so they are staggered. By law, we have to meet as a TDC every quarter of the year. Most TDCs around the state meet monthly. We meet every other month. Why is that important to the tourism director, Elliot? Because think about it, they're in the sunshine, like the Board of County Commissioners work in the sunshine. And if they're in the sunshine, I'm in the sunshine. So I meet with each TDC member one-on-one in the off month, and I say, okay, here's what's good's going on, here's where we screwed up, and here's what some public-private partnerships that we're working on. Partnerships with cities, partnerships with nonprofit organizations, and here's what's going to be on the agenda next month, okay? But what I can't do is, well, number one, I'm getting a pulse if I'm coming to the TDC in a month on a partnership. So I'm getting a pulse from each member, but what I can't do, because I'm in the sunshine, is say, hey, so-and-so is going to vote yes, and so-and-so, yeah, I go to jail, right? So we remind them of that, which is a really, really good thing. If you see TDC members having lunch together, they just can't talk about TDC business, okay? They are just as much consultants to me as the Board of County Commissioners, but they advise the board. The board appoints them. I have nothing to do with it, okay? Like most, I report to Brian Parnell, Deputy County Administrator, awesome naval veteran serving our country. And then, of course, he reports to Charlie Bishop, who serves the 7 county commissioners. Okay. A little bit small, really, really important. And I say this with the utmost humility. Your tourism department wears more hats than any other tourism department in the state of Florida. It just evolved that way. I call myself Baskin Robbins. I have a different flavor every day, okay? Most tourism bureaus, they market and promote the destination. They're sports commission sometimes, and they're film commission sometimes. And it usually, the line ends right there, okay? Over the years, the commissioners kept adding responsibility. So we're the only tourism bureau that manages the day-to-day operation of a convention center that's going through an expansion. We'll talk about that later. The Powell Crosley Estate. Gosh, I'm getting a little old. I was there for the first special event in 1996. It was a pastor's luncheon for a funeral home company. And we also are now the Arts and Cultural Alliance for Manatee County, where the Sports Commission, we'll get into that a little bit later, where we go after out-of-town sports business. We're the Film Commission. So when people want to come in and do an independent movie or a video shoot or a film shoot, they'll come to us, help for permitting, etc. We used to manage the day-to-day of Premier Sports Campus, but now it's in a better department, Sports and Leisure Services, but we still hold hands, and our role is to bring out-of-town business in while Molly and her team manage the day-to-day and also accommodate the community when there's field availability as well. I'm at the table for all the airline negotiations at Sarasota Bradenton International Airport. That's a lot of fun and a big blessing to our region for economic development as well. And then I'm known as Gilligan around the county from time to time. I don't know why, but a couple years ago, the county asked me to start up a water ferry. And that's been a lot of fun. The better news, it's going to go to a better department, and eventually MCAT is going to oversee the day-to-day. Remember, it's managed by a third-party vendor, so it makes my job easy. But we'll still help market and promote it. but integrated with MCAT is really important, that continuity, the trolleys and all that. So, but that's been a lot of fun, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Since I'm here, I'm with you all till 3:30 this afternoon. Debbie will shoot me right now. Okay, quick breakdown. This is your homework. So if you really want to say, gosh, where does that tourism tax? I know Elliot said it's, not the residents' money, but at the end of the day, it's the residents' money, right? A tax is a tax. And if you live here, you're part of that value of the tax on where it goes. So it's pretty neat. So you have your marketing and promotions. Let's just call it $6.5 million goes into the marketplace to market and promote the destination. The convention center, think about it, folks. $53 million expansion renovation of that convention center. That's going to infuse the urban core at the tune of 30 to 35 million a year. So there's a good ROI, right? That's going to be a benefit to the residents that live here at no cost to the residents that live here. It doesn't get any better than that, okay? Beach renourishment. So Charlie Hunsiger, have you guys had him in class yet? Brilliant guy. And he's in charge of beach renourishment, groins, erosion control, etc. So 1 penny out of the 6 goes right to beach renourishment since, I think, 1988. Great use of that. Of course, that's what I call the chum that brings the visitors to a destination like yours. My PR people hate me using that word. We're in Florida, right? So Charlie and I were attached to the hip because, when we have beach erosion, he's out there with getting permits facilitated for those beautiful sugar white sands. Just a couple more things. So museums, we can put money into museums. The Bishop Museum, $1 million. The Art Center, the brand new Art Center, Manatee, we're up to $2.5 million. The Manatee Performing Arts Theater, we got $500,000 into the theater. We have $1.1 million into the Future Theater Conservatory. Once again, it's an asset that it appeals with the tourists, but it enhances the quality of life for the residents that live here at no cost to the residents that live here. Pittsburgh Pirates, if you like baseball, spring training, so we're putting $450,000 a year that goes to the city of Bradenton to pay for debt service on the upgrades at Lecom Park. The Pirates give us $450,000 in marketing and promotions back up in the Pittsburgh metro area a year to feed our economy during spring training. So 56 years the Pirates they're the second longest tenure out of a spring training organization in Florida, Detroit Lions being number 1 out of Lakeland as well. I'll move on from there. Of course, the water ferry being paid by tourism tax, a little bit of beach concessions and revenues. So we as residents, we're not using ad valorem tax to enhance multimodal transportation in our beautiful community. Okay, now who are we targeting? So we're not just throwing out billboards, TV commercials, radio spots, and throwing out that net and hoping for the best. Remember, marketing is very artistic with a little bit of science, okay? I'll always say, how many of you can put 6 attorneys around the table and they all agree on a contract? Okay, it's as bad as putting 6 marketing people around the table and them all agreeing in a campaign because they're artists, right? The science is the research to tell you where your ripe markets are and who your demographic is that can afford to come for vacation here. I'll dumb it down for Elliot. If I'm selling a Maserati, I'm probably not targeting somebody that can only afford a Chevy, okay? It's the affordability, because what we don't want to have is people coming in with coupons looking for discounts. We want that visitor to have a high spend, an average length of stay of 5.6 nights that'll eventually convert to a real estate owner or a business owner, okay? And we buy digital advertising for a demographic that's 130,000 or higher. We're landing our median visitor household is 122. So it's working, okay? Sorry guys, we don't target you all. We target women all the time, every time, because the women are the most influential lady in the house. Yeah, you all decide in almost every case where the family goes on vacation, even if it's a couple. So we are a couples family destination. Look at the average range. So young millennials, Zs, we're not targeting them. You all know, you live here. The characteristics of the community really doesn't align with somebody that's single that wants to come down here. The amenities just don't align with it. So we're romance and family first and foremost. And then the attractors. I'll give you a little tidbit. 5.6 nights, all right, average length of stay of a visitor. The state average is 4.2. Okay, pretty neat, right? Why is that? Well, come on, you're more of in a detox setting, right? You're not in Miami. You're not in South Beach. You're not in Clearwater. So there's like, hey, honey, let's just get away, leave the technology behind, and relax, okay? Very, very important, okay? And first-time visitor to the Bradenton area are likely to return 94% of the time within 12 months. Who do we target? First-time visitors. Another little tidbit. A first-time sports visitor, the parents that have to come to Johnny's soccer tournament Premier or IMG Academy, they're likely to return 74% of the time within 12 months. I call a sports tournament an economic stimulus familiarization tour. It's like, wait, what? You're even taking a note on that. Economic stimulus. So the families are coming in with all the kids, infusion of new dollars. Familiarization tour, if we can get to Johnny's parents and say, hey, when Johnny's not having a game, there's this place called Anna Maria Island for you to enjoy, or the Riverwalk in downtown Bradenton, or Waterside in Lakewood Ranch. And then we just sprinkle those characteristics, and then the wife says, oh my gosh, honey, we got to come back for a vacation. So that multiplier, very, very important. When do you want them to go home? It's like, oh my God, you want them to go home? Yeah, there's research on that. So at day 7, you want to knock at the hotel door and say, thank you for coming, we love you, but it's time for you to go home because we know your daily spend is going to start to erode, and we want to bring in that fresh visitor at that peak spend. So that's how we drill down to research sometimes, okay? Now, power of the brand. Look at that real quick. What do you think? Pretty busy, huh? Pretty schizophrenic, right? It's almost like a, wait, what? Let's dive into it, okay? Anna Maria Island. All right, let's put your, get out of Florida. Let's put your Atlanta hat on. Let's put your Manhattan, New York hat on. Let's put your Boston, Massachusetts hat on. And you see Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key. I'm not quite sure you'll know where that is geographically. You don't, right? We know it's an island. We know it's a key. Let's go further. Florida's Gulf Islands. All right, we're in Florida. Gulf Islands, so Gulf Coast of Mexico or Gulf of America, whatever you want to call it. What's the Gulf Coast? Pensacola to Naples, okay? So very wide range, right? And then Bradenton and Lakewood Ranch. Well, wait a minute. Florida's Gulf Islands, is Bradenton an island? Is Lakewood Ranch an island? Definitely not, right? So we knew when I was blessed to be appointed as a tourism director that we had to reevaluate our brand, okay? And I tell you what, the TDC and the board, total transparency, I said, look, I need $100,000 to reevaluate our brand elements. And I did this all one-on-one, and I said, Commissioner, TDC member, but let's cut a deal here. When I come back and tell you the truth of how the marketplace has helped us redevelop our brand elements, if you agree with the truth, then it's a good spend of $100,000. But if it becomes political, okay, we got to call you Manatee County, Elliott, not the Bradenton area, right? See where I'm going? Then let's not spend the $100,000. God bless them all. They said, go tell us the truth and come back with the truth. So 5 months later, now remember, the worst thing we can do is we develop the brand elements as residents. As much as we love it, we're passionate, we know it, because we could be called the Sun Coast of Florida, right? You've heard that, right, on ABC 7. Where's the Sun Coast of Florida? Take millions and millions and millions of dollars to get that to resonate. So what we did was we had 70 major stakeholders in this county that we basically did a SWOT analysis without telling them. Chamber presidents, restaurant owners, TDC, county commissioners, mayors, city councilmen, and we gathered our SWOT analysis. we gathered our old data and we went out into our top primary markets, put women around the table within that demographic, and they helped us establish our brand elements, okay? All the thoughts came onto the table. We brought it back to the agency. They created the brand elements. We went back out into the marketplace with a different group of ladies in 2 different cities and confirmed that when they said, well, geographically, we think Bradenton resonates better geographically than any other name of your community in Manatee County. Hence, Bradenton area. Keyword area. Think about it. I'm gonna ride the line here. That Palmetto Convention Center in the city of Palmetto is called what? The Bradenton Area Convention Center. Okay? If I'm a Palmetto resident, does that piss me off? Maybe, because I love Palmetto. Well, why isn't it called the Palmetto Convention Center? Okay? Bradenton resonated better geographically. The key word is area, like the greater Fort Lauderdale destination that encompasses all those towns. So we had to really just say, hey, city councilman, mayor, residents, we love Palmetto just as much as you do, but if you want to get that brand to resonate quickly and efficiently to our target meeting planners, and new dollars are flowing into the city of Palmetto, who cares what it's called? And once again, the Board of County Commissioners understood how important that was. So if you ever hear that as well. So here we go. And that's where we're at. Look how simple, okay? Boom. Okay, Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, Lombo Key, Florida's West Coast. We know the Panhandle's not Florida's West Coast, so we've just chopped off Pensacola, Destin, Fort Walton, Panama City, and now you're Clearwater to Naples, okay? So now all of a sudden you're resonating in the marketplace, okay? It's like buying stocks, okay? Here, let's proof of the pudding right here. So we launched the brand right around 2012, and I can show you before 2006, the visitation's pretty flat. Consistent, but flat, okay? All of a sudden, you launch the brand. It usually takes about 14 months to start resonating, and all of a sudden, there's the growth, okay? So they know where we're at. They know the characteristics of what we're all about, and the affordability. And I'm a big brand person, and you can see the growth there, okay? First-time visitors. Here's a good best practice. Be thankful that I'm not a marketing person. Anybody did marketing in their lifetime? Okay. So I think you'd agree. Do you ever ask a marketing person if they need more money in their budget? Do you think they'll ever say no? Okay. Thank God I'm not a marketing person, because I have really, really talented marketing people, but they go through hell when they ask me for more money. And one of the evaluations is if we're penetrating the market. Best practice in our industry, if we bring in about 25% of first-time visitors or more, your marketing and advertising is penetrating the market pretty good. So you can see we've been north of 30%, but once again, let's go back to 2012. See, in 09 and 010, we were right in that line of really not penetrating that market, and all of a sudden, we've been pretty consistent there with north of 30%, 35%. Keep in mind, too, I'm a community servant. So less is more works for us. Can you imagine Elliott saying, okay, county, we're going to promote Anna Maria Island for spring break, okay? I would be like Apostle Paul with my head on a platter. They would be marching it down Gulf Drive, because is that not only bad for our community, but it's contrary to our brand elements. We have a promise in the marketplace. We sure better adhere. When the media calls me after spring break, they go, tell me how your spring break was. I said, we never use the two words together. I'll tell you about our spring season. And they laugh and they get it, okay? So very, very important, because we know Panama City used to have it, got the hell away from it. Daytona Beach used to have it, stopped it. We can go on and on and on about spring break, okay? So enough of brand. Less is more. I'm not really excited about record-breaking tourism season. I get excited about good, moderate visitation 12 months a year that feeds our local economy, that sustains our restaurants that we love, our shops that we love, and nothing more crazy than that, okay? Do I control everything? Absolutely. I'd be lying to you. We're managing a brand in the marketplace. I'll get elected officials to say, Elliot, you're breaking records. Why do you need to market the destination anymore? Commissioner, city councilman, mayor, great question. Number one, the state of Colorado in 1986, legislatively said, you know what? The world knows about Colorado. Let's not market it anymore. Let's take that money and use it somewhere else. Third-party research experts can tell you they haven't recovered from that today of the loss of visitation. So it took about 3 years for them to say, uh-oh, we made a mistake, and then they start marketing, then it costs you 5 times more to get back what you lost, okay? So, but what we're really doing is good times, bad times, you're managing a brand to, this is a weird one, to prepare for the next adversarial occurrence in your community. Simple as that. Red tide, God forbid we ever have a COVID again, hurricanes, whatever it might be, oil crisis. My first week as a tourism director, I couldn't find my way to the office, let alone know how to be a tourism director, and the oil was spewing out of the Gulf of Mexico. I'm like, God, what did you do to me? We got through it. So if we're managing a brand in the marketplace, even in good times, record-breaking times, you'll see how we weathered it, because I'll give you a tennis shoe. What's the #1 brand in the world tennis shoe? Nike, right? Okay? Because they put promotion and marketing into it. They never stop. So when economy is really, really tough and less people can afford to buy tennis shoes, Nike will prevail. Same with the Braden area. Guess what, folks? In 2020, not me, it's the brand and its talented staff and its community relationships. We were only 10% down in tourism in 2020. I'd put that up against any other coastal destination in the state of Florida. Economic impact, you can see where commercial lodging, obviously the blue is going to be the meat of it. I think the one we focus on is the day tripper, okay? 100 million, you know, so our borders are open, right? We're welcoming everybody, but how do you manage the people that are just coming in and going out and coming in? How do we get them to drop more money when they're coming in? Even going to the beaches. They're coming in from maybe an East County, DeSoto, Pasco, Polk, Pasco's north, and they bring all their picnic baskets and all that, and they leave garbage and all that, don't spend any money and leave. We love everybody, but how do we manage that better for the greater good of our community, right? For people that live here as well, okay? Occupancy rate, just real quick. So you can see, once again, there's 2012, there's the brand. Now you have more demand, you can kick in your rates. What's really neat is in the range of 15, 16, 17, there were 3,500 additional hotel rooms in the region. And you can see how it sustained that. 2017 was severe red tide, if you can all remember. And then, of course, 2020, to be almost at 60% occupancy during 2020 is a blessing. Then again, the governor kept Florida open, so that was good. And people in the Northeast or Midwest, when they were able to leave their homes, that were trapped in their homes, and they can go on a vacation because Florida was open, our brand elements showed it was safe. You know, oh my gosh, I have all this space on Anna Maria Island beaches or Coquina, and I can rent a home where I feel safe. So that was a big part of it as well. And then obviously coming out was fruitful there as well. Average daily rate, same thing. You can see how the rates, even 2020, for all that extra capacity and maintaining those rates, feel really good about that. You can see the blue is the international market compared to the domestic. We'll talk about in a few minutes how important the international market is. There's your tourism tax collection. You know, once again, you have more demand, higher rates. Obviously, your tax is going to continue to grow. And if everything goes good, we should be just under 40 million in tourism tax. Where are we pointing to? Really, really important. There's our top 10. Of course, yeah, you could say, oh, yeah, St. Pete, Tampa, pretty easy. It's just, hey, honey, let's just go. I live in Brandon. Let's just go on a 4-day weekend on Anna Maria Island or Lombo Key, right? New York, #1 by far. There's 2 mature markets, New York, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So if you see some traditional advertising, that's the reason. It's almost like I'm at a hockey game in Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden our brand comes up somehow, some way, and it's almost like, don't forget us when you're planning your vacation. We know you've been here before. We know you know who we are. So don't forget us when you're planning your next vacation. There's only 2 markets that we can do that in that have maturity. And then you can see the rest. What's really exciting is, let's just go into some emerging. So Midwest was rebuilt. Remember AirTran? So AirTran was bought out by Southwest. Southwest said, hey, you know what? We're going to pull AirTran out of SRQ, and we're just going to service Tampa because the residents in Manatee and Sarasota will make that drive to Tampa. It catastrophically devastated our Midwest market, okay? The Cincinnati, Cleveland, Ohio, Indianapolis. And then when Southwest came back, Valentine's Day 2021, because they had 737s in the desert that they had to get in the air. And they come in, and we did a really aggressive incentive. And I said, tell me you're not going to just do this coming out of COVID. You're going to keep your flights. And it was a handshake deal. And they were our #1 airline for a couple years until last year. Now Allegiant's #1. Delta was #1 for many, many years. Don't get alarmed about if you live in Manatee County. If you care about tourism, you'll hear, oh my gosh, the Canadian market's really bad right now. The tariffs and the loonie has shifted against the U.S. dollar in that markets. Ontario, Canada is a very small market of ours. A lot of the Ontario plates you see here in the wintertime are snowbirds that are staying here 3-4 months. Their daily spend is not as good as like a UK or Central Europe. So people say, well, can't you put more money in Canada to get more people or more in Brazil? It's like buying stocks, right? If I want to start a new market, I got to pull from somewhere else. And if I'm pulling for someone else that's already getting a good ROI, I got to be really, really careful, okay? So once again, it's very artistic. You probably can't see this, but this is my favorite research spreadsheet, because I can actually say, you could say, Elliot, how many people from Pittsburgh, the great city that you were born and raised? And I'll say, well, there it is, 34,000, almost 35,000 people from Pittsburgh came to the Bradenton area. How many, their party size, did they fly or drive? Their daily spend. It doesn't get any better, because when we're digitally targeting markets, then once again, you're picking your poison, saying, okay, where are we going to resonate and where are we going to get our best ROI? So this is a pretty neat little spreadsheet there as well. I probably look at that more than anything. Let's just slide down to the airport. Look at that, folks, where we were in 2018. So 6 airlines, 12 nonstop destinations. And now look where we're at today. It's almost crazy, so big it almost doesn't even resonate. So last year we were at 54 nonstop destinations, and now as we stand here today, 68 nonstop destinations. Pittsburgh International Airport is, I think, 62 nonstop destinations. Of course, the new terminal that was christened in November really helped add the additional 10 flights. And then hot off the press last week, that we've been working on for about 4 years, is the SRQ nonstop to Miami. Why is that important? It's not about bringing Miamians over here, and it'd be great if we can, but it enhances Latin America. IMG Academy would tell you that they're busing students and clients almost every day from Miami Airport to IMG Academy. So is that a blessing to them? 100%. And as crazy as it sounds, there's a nonstop American from London to Miami. Well, what does that have to do with us? Well, the Brit, for a holiday, they usually go on 2-week holidays. So now we can work with the tour operator to say, remind them of the nonstop to Miami so they can take their 1-week Caribbean cruise. And then instead of driving over here, they can get on a quick nonstop to SRQ to enjoy Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key. So that'll enhance that as well. So it'll be daily, year-round, and when it does good, it'll be twice daily. So an engine that feeds our economy. Really, really important. Commissioners have done an awesome job. TDC have done an awesome job about focusing on diversification of tourism-related assets, okay? So the meat of, what we have coming in, no surprise, leisure, sports, $400 million. It's a lot of money. It's 15%. I think we'll peak out probably at 18% based on the amount of sports venues that we have. Thank God for IMG Academy. If you like Lakewood Ranch, Rex Jensen, Thank him if you believe in the value of Premier. It was his idea coming out of the real estate crash. County ended up buying it in 2017, and that venue alone is going to bring 40 to 45 million a year in out-of-town business to our economy. Look at our void, group corporate, okay, just trickling in. That's what makes the convention center excited. So it's like, gosh, if we can become the biggest convention center on the west coast of Florida from St. Pete to Naples, that 5% probably in 4 years will get to 12 to 15%. Now we're running on all cylinders, okay? You want to redevelop this urban core, you need seeds to feed it. Pittsburgh Pirates, the Arts and Cultural District, and then the Convention Center being 30 to 35 million a year. When those small businesses come in, they know that they're going to have clients 12 months instead of these ebbs and flows, okay? Let's touch a little bit Bradenton. You can see our supplemental brands, but all articulate. Even the funny thing about it, the colors even mean something. Come on, y'all know, why is that color turquoise, right? That's called those waters that we enjoy. Why is that orange sun? Well, you know what? We're real, authentic Florida, that tagline. You know, we're like, when I'm doing a radio broadcast and that radio platform's ratings just nosedive when they hear my voice, they'll say, well, what's Anna Maria Island like? It's like Florida like it once was 50, 60 years ago with modern day accommodations. Come on, folks, can you find another Anna Maria Island that you can't build any taller than 35 feet? You know, when you were little kids or when you had your little kids. So it's protected, and it separates us from the norm, okay? There's our blessing of the sports venues. Hot off the press, it's actually, we're in a public meeting, keep it between us. It'll be going out. We just scored the World Para Fencing Championships. I knew you'd like that. Awesome. Is that right? Well, when he comes in, tell him I want to pitch him to have a picture with me, okay? For my sake, not your grandson. First time in the United States since 1995 or 96. So it's more about, it's a small event, but it's more about media impressions than anything else. And then just awarded a week ago is the Senior PGA Championship. That'll be in April at the concession 3-year deal. I was just up at Congressional in Bethesda. I'll tell you what a beautiful golf court club up there. Oh my gosh. But to be able to host it at the concession, great partnership with the owner of the concession, Bruce Cassidy, and that'll be in April. And hopefully that'll give us the experience and the confidence with PGA of America to give this community a PGA championship in hopefully 2033, okay? That PGA championship will be in a week's time about, let's just call it 25 to 30 million in a week. A PGA championship, you're looking at 400 million in a week. So that's, put the Masters aside, it's the Super Bowl of golf, okay? Am I doing okay on time, Justin? Premier, we just finished up $10.5 million improvements, added some hybrid locker rooms on both sides of that building, added 400 more, I call them church overflow parking spots. If you live in Lakewood Ranch, parking could be a challenge. So the county did a great job by adding 4 more 100 spots out there. And you can see what it brings in a normal year, 40 to 45 million to the local economy. And then, of course, there's some local clubs that get to use it as well. So that's very artistic in maintaining the balance there. IMG Academy, 600 acres and growing. They're getting ready to develop another 100 acres. And of course, who do they target? The 1% demographic around the globe as well. Pittsburgh Pirates, so we just cut a deal last 2 years ago. So this field right here is going to be called City Park. Did you all know it was, we all remember it as McKechnie Field, right? Well, before that, it was called City Park. I never knew that. So we're going to add a third full baseball field, partnering with the city of Bradenton and the Pirates. Why do we need 3? You all know it. Outside of spring training baseball and the Marauders, let's bring college and high school tournaments to that blighted area to infuse new dollars 12 months a year. So we're excited. That should be done. We get more impatient, probably not till 2027, but we're excited to get that done. And there's the concession as well. Convention Center. Really, it's been a community facility in almost every case. Consumer shows, high school graduations, college graduations, banquets, etc. But with the new model, look at that elevation. It's someone who, like me, who's been in there for 30 years. It's so surreal. There's the old footprint. Remember, when it was built, it opened in January '85 at no debt service. The governor gave a $10 million grant, and Ralph Haben got the land donated, hence the name of the road beside it, to build that civic center. There always was a chicken and an egg. You can't expand it unless you have a hotel. So we found a friend who used to pitch for the Pittsburgh Pirates, lives outside of Oakland, California, that built us a $115 million Marriott Resort and Spa, the only Marriott Resort and Spa aside from the one in Sanibel Island on the west coast of Florida. And that gave us the opportunity for the board to agree to add on and build that grand ballroom with all your meeting space, breakout meetings in between, with a corridor in between. So you'll be able to go from your hotel room to your exhibit hall without even going outside, okay? $53 million, remember, $53 million, no cost to us as residents, but the ROI is gonna be 30 to 35 million a year. Pretty good deal, okay? Very, very important. There's a shot of that grand ballroom that'll seat 850 banquet style, and that'll also be able to divide into two as well. You can see the North Plaza and the South Plaza. That South Plaza, they just poured concrete the past few days, so it's looking really, really good. We're hoping to do a ribbon cutting early to mid-November. There's a little rendering of what the interior is going to look like. Check out that ceiling. It's going to be pretty neat. All right, you want to get into Water Ferry real quick? So it started. Great question. So I think our low-hanging fruit is going to be the state association conventions. So we'll be able to accommodate 800 people or less attendees. So if you belong to an association, or if you're on a board in an association, send your meeting planner for your association to us, and let's bring your event to our backyard. Water Ferry started in January 24. It was a mixed bag for me. I was kind of pessimistic and like, if it's going to work, you know, and I'm amazed. It's worked out really well. So we have two 49-passenger pontoon catamarans. They were about $500,000 apiece. And so we were running a 3-point system, but the city pier on Anna Maria, the midsection, was compromised. So now we're just running a 2-point system to historic Bridge Street. And we ordered a third ferry, $3 million. It'll have 67 seats inside and then about 30 seats outside, because if you got on the vessel in January at like 8 in the morning, it's a little chilly. So it'll have heat, it'll have air condition, and it'll be heavier and faster because look what it says right here. We lost 46 days to weather conditions. Well, the pontoon catamarans are 30,000 pounds. This third ferry will be 100,000 pounds. So the experts, I'm a city kid from Pittsburgh, don't know much about anything, should be able to mitigate a lot of that chop that the pontoon catamarans. Once that's in service and we get the Anna Maria Pier rebuilt, we're trying to go down the Coquina as well, then we'll keep the pontoon catamarans out on the island for a hopper service up and down the island. But look how many cars it took off the road in 2024, okay? And then we're out of the gate, we're 56% increase in ridership compared to 24. So far, so good. We're marketing and promoting the heck out of it. This is one initiative where I told the marketing team, let's get into the face of the residents with this service, okay? And if we can get about 30% of y'all to ride it, and the rest visitors, we've done our job. I've told the commissioners publicly, the media has been so great to us. I said we could bring the Super Bowl to Bradenton, and the media would rather write about the water ferry service. So they've been our biggest ambassador, our biggest arms. You can see a lot of variables. So we're working on with the city of Anna Maria to help them rebuild the pier and a new landing. We're working on Coquina Beach, and we're working on bringing the ferry to the convention center, because now the family could come and the husband or wife saying, hey, you know what? While you're at the convention, me and the kids are going to take a day trip out to the island. What's my dream? Let's go Fort Hamer nonstop weekend express to Anna Maria Island. How cool would that be? Okay, and it's realistic. Charlie Hunsaker said logistically you could make that happen when the wherewithal's there and all the permits are approved. Why are these niche markets really, really important? Well, it's simple. It enhances average length of stay and helps the return rate of the visitor. So show more. If we're just showing beaches, we're not doing our job. You got the most pristine ecological parks in the state of Florida. It's beaches, food, and history are the top 3 likes of a visitor that comes to the Bradenton area. I try to be funny. I actually think I'm pretty funny, but humility is really, really important in my daily walk. Me and our staff stay away from pride. What does pride do? Pride leads to selfish tendencies, okay? So you'll go to my office and it's pretty boring because the last thing I want is a medal, okay? But remember, when I started off as tourism director, I knew 2 objectives were important. One is to rebrand, and that was number 2. Why is that accreditation important? Because you as residents, during tough times, during adverse times, can say, hey, you know what? That goofy guy named Elliot showed us that he's accredited, so he understands best practices doing what he does. Does that make us perfect? Absolutely not. We're one of 1,300 tourism bureaus in the world that have that accreditation. And honestly, folks, all I did was sign it. It's like getting a doctorate degree. They ask you so many questions, okay? So real quick, I'm running out of time. It's important to tell you how we came out of the storm, okay? This is all part of the accreditation. How do we handle it? So now all of a sudden we had these hurricanes come through, and now we are monitoring our target market, the media, okay? Anderson Cooper and Jim Cantori, if I can find them, I want to have a talk with them because they did some mismessaging. Good old Anderson Cooper, who's an incredible journalist, 2 times in my career has found the worst backdrops in Manatee County. It's almost like I could get an ankle monitor so I know when he's coming in. But what's that doing? It's saying, oh my gosh, look, it catastrophically happened in Bradenton where that was just one little centralized area. Jim Cantori, I'm just ashamed that he's an Italian guy. I'll never forget, he was holding on to a palm tree, okay? And I kid you not, an 80-year-old lady was walking, he didn't see the lady, was walking real calm with a dog behind him. Yeah, he's been so bad for Florida that many of us around the state and Visit Florida do not advertise with the Weather Channel, okay? But now, the reason why I say that is we have to make sure the messaging is accurate. So we come out of a hurricane, and now we have to work with the county to evaluate where are we at, okay? Thank God we weren't like Fort Myers where they lost their beaches, they lost their bridges, okay? Did we have sand everywhere? Yes. But Charlie H. goes, Elliot, you didn't lose your beaches. We need X amount of weeks to get the sand put back on the beaches, the contaminants out on the landfill. And Chad, how are the bridges? Your bridges are good. All right, boom, check that box. Now our national PR agency, our office in London, our office in Frankfurt are monitoring the media as well. And if there's inaccuracies of our state, then we need to mitigate that. So years ago, the board earmarked $1 million line item for that specific purpose. So all of a sudden, we had a mismessaging going on, and staff said, Elliot, they say we're catastrophically down. I had some leader that I won't mention at the state level say, we were creamed on the west coast of Florida. Cream to me is leveled, right? And it was like, oh my gosh. So we took $500,000 at the county administrator's signature. We can't wait to go to the board. The board knows because they approved the ordinance because time is money. And we went out there and all of a sudden attacked with messaging and visitation recovery. Okay, take back our message. Up-to-date visuals, strong social media. We're going after influencers. We're going after travel writers. Really, really important because this is real, right? We're never going to lie to our target. If we have severe red tide, we're going to tell them we have severe red tide. But if someone's saying that we're worse than we are, it's our job to quickly correct that. So look how important there. We had 2 videography teams going, and that date is so important than anything else because that's what the visitor's looking for. So this is what we showed November 1 in our top feeder markets, and this is quick. And remember, the mainland, if we lived under a rock, yeah, you had a lot of trees and debris that were removed, but once they were gone, a couple weeks later, you really wouldn't have known what we went through, right? You had some awnings and a gas station that were damaged and all that. So, but see, it showed our bridges, it showed our beaches, all shot on November 1st, 2024, okay? And then there's your public relations tactics. So we're partnering with Southern Living, Food and Wine, all these publications that align with our target market as well, okay? And then there's your influencers that are coming in. And these are based on all long-term relationships where if we need help from an influencers have been here before or a travel writer, then they're going to jump fast for us. Really, really important. We reached out to my counterpart, Aaron Duggan, with Visit Sarasota and said, hey, look, we're all in this together as a region. So we came behind the social media, behind the public relations, because you got to turn a negative into a positive and know that they know that we're open before you launch that digital advertising. So we felt like we were more powerful going together in our primary and secondary markets, and then running concurrent like that, we work with Visit Florida, the state agency, and all of our West Coast partners, so they matched a campaign after that dollar for dollar as well. Once again, if you understand best practices and you're accredited, then you know the steps that you need to take to get you there. International, we're going to wind down right here. Why is it important? Well, there you go. Of course, they stimulate the economy. They start coming in really around August 1st through the fall. When do the domestic kids go back to school? Right around August 1st. So now you go from a domestic couples family to a couples. So how do you augment? Right there, the international market. They stay longer and spend more money per day than any other visitor that we woo. There's our markets. The Netherlands, Scandinavia is new. It's as ripe as it can be. Why did that surface? Delta started in Amsterdam nonstop to Tampa. So there's a nice ripe market. So we're attacking that market as well. This was right after the adversity. So we did some activations in London and got tour operators, travel writers, and influencers, and you recreate your brand elements in a place like this, and they love it, and they want nothing more than to come and support you and visit it. Staff really knows how to do it. It's pretty neat. We've had an office in London since 2009. People would say, what do you need an office for? Remember, if we're Europeans and we're going on holiday, 88% of the time we're going to go to a tour operator to create. We as Americans are more, we're running and gunning. We're booking our own flight and our own accommodation. So you have to have that that communication constantly, or the tour operators won't take you seriously. This is like a Hall of Famer compared to Peter Greenberg as a travel expert, and Peter's a friend of mine. But we got this guy who we've had a long-term relationship. We said, Simon, can we get you to our area? We have some mismessaging going on. Incredible human being. And this is just 1 minute, but this is what he shot. And I first came to Florida in the 1980s. Yes, I was very young, thank you. Since then,
this is in January.
Many times and explored every corner of the Sunshine State. When I need somewhere
Notice how
serene,
we're covering a lot of different characteristics in a very short period of time. It's not just the beaches.
And Anna Maria Island, lapped by the Gulf of Mexico, rich in old Florida charm and embraced by nature.
There's Robinson Preserve.
Come explore with me.
And he's trustworthy. That's why you need him.
No stress, just bliss, and another amazing sunset. In the course of a week, I've dined on freshly caught seafood.
I'm doing this at lunchtime with y'all, making y'all hungry. Shame on an Italian guy for doing that. Okay, so you can actually go online. We'll get the neighborhood services team to give you the link. It's about 12 minutes. You'll love it. It's one of my favorite videos. And then there's some unique, we got some added value in a digital buy. So we have taxis driving around London. I've had 3 colleagues in Bradenton text me and saying, oh my gosh, we were in London. We just saw a taxi with your brand on it. Or so that's pretty cool. And the taxi, they're the most intelligent and educated taxi cab drivers in the world. There's where the rubber meets the road. 2.4 billion.
I always fall short. $80 million of sales tax generation from a visitor. That helps feed our programs for our residents that live here as well. Almost 33,000 jobs as well. It's important. Me being a Pittsburgher, what happened in Pittsburgh in the late 70s? Demise of the steel industry. What was the only number one industry in the city of Pittsburgh? The steel industry. What did it do to the city of Pittsburgh? It devastated it for 20 years. Okay, now it's old money, although it's steel tycoons and Carnegie Mellon. So it's now medical, technology, and education in one of the greatest places to live. Detroit, bulldozing communities. So when I'll arrogantly say when some resident, they just hate tourists, Elliot, don't even talk to them. No, give me 1 minute and I'll tell them why a tourist is important to us as a resident, and that balance is there. The blessing is I'm not much about anything. I'm not much of anything. I surround myself with really talented, humble, unselfish people, but we serve the community first. And I'll tell a county commissioner, when I lose my enthusiasm, I'll go away before you tell me. And when we screw up, I'm going to bust hard to tell you before you find out, because I think I'm the most empowered government tourism director in the state of Florida. And I'll tell commissioners, empower me, let me cut deals with airlines on the fly, because if I have to tell them I have to go through a 6-week approval process, they can't have that bird sitting in a desert somewhere. They'll go somewhere else. I'll say, empower me, and I know that I'm held accountable for that empowerment. And God bless them, all the commissioners, I'm in year 32, doesn't make me any more special than anybody else. I make mistakes every day, but that empowerment with the accountability tied to it like an entrepreneur keeps me doing what I'm doing. So in any event, I hope you learned something. I'm always here for you. And come visit the convention center when you have a chance when it's open. So do I have a time for a couple questions?
Elliot, there's been some talk about Sarasota County taking over the northern part of Longboat Key. Have y'all discussed that, if that should happen, and how may that change your
Am I being recorded right now?
Oh, never mind then.
That's okay. No, I'm having fun. I've jokingly told people, I said, yeah, give them Longboat Key, and we'll annex the rest of the airport into Manatee County. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. The air side and the runways are in Manatee County, the land side terminal. So I'll joke with my Sarasota friends and say, look, y'all can't take off those jets without us. So it's, you let the politics do its thing. I've had commissioners say, well, if we let half of Longboat Key go, maybe we take all the rest of Lakewood Ranch type of thing. What I can tell you, in my world, if a commissioner asks me, how does that help or hurt tourism world? Longboat Key on the Manatee County side is probably going to generate $3 to $4 million a year. Okay, we do have a contract, Manatee County, with Longboat Key that I think gives them $450,000 a year for their beach renourishment. They do that themselves. So Charlie H is really just tied to the beach renourishment on Anna Maria Island. So it's kind of fizzled a little bit. There was a lot of talk a few years ago, and I don't hear it as much. It is kind of weird, though, that you have that beautiful key that's divided into two. Yes, ma'am.
Will bicycles ever be allowed on the ferries?
Yeah, I think the new one will be. It's a Coast Guard thing. There'll be really nice bathrooms, ADA bathrooms. So excited. We've applied for a grant for a 4th water ferry. We didn't win, but what we did was we took the application that won to see where we had gaps there. I think if we can get one more, so 2 enclosed, and then the 2 pontoon catamarans, I think we're probably good for the next 3 to 5 years. But we can't get that Fort Hamer Express with just 1 water ferry. So it's going to run a lot better when MCAT takes it over, and we're all on this together. I'm not just handing them the keys, but they're the experts. I'm the wannabe, but we'll still be doing the marketing and promotions. Yes, ma'am.
So I think they have a lot of great things going. I see one of the deficits being, I do fly out of Tampa a lot because I want a nonstop to my destination. But I see ground transportation as a big problem. So I only live a couple of miles from SRQ, And I had a flight that I diverted to SRQ because I got stuck in Philly. And I couldn't get an Uber for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
And I spent $60 and still waited 20 minutes with that limo service that's right there.
Yeah.
So I see that as a problem trying to get conventions at Bradenton. So what's your
You're spot on. When I have family come in, they're like, oh, we need to rent a car, we'll just Uber. And it's like, if you want to wait 20 minutes for an Uber. Now, selfishly, the demographic that we target is in almost every case going to rent a car. Even if they pull it in the driveway at that single family home on Anna Maria and never use it, they just want access to it. On the convention side, my predecessor, very smart man, helped create an ordinance that we can actually pay for shuttle service for the convention goers. And then both CRAs in Palmetto and Bradenton have a freebie contract. So the Ubers are a little bit more accessible in the urban core, but down the airport, a little bit more challenging. Keep hacking away at it. Shouldn't say this, but how cool would it be if you had a rail system from downtown Bradenton to downtown Sarasota right by the airport? Because as I travel around, you see it in Tempe, you see it in Denver, you see it in Manchester, UK, you see it in Salt Lake. And then everything redevelops in between, but that's pie in the sky 30 years later. But I think that's how we have to think a little bit. The nonstop flights, we're trying to get to California nonstop out of SRQ. Easier said than done. I'm going to be optimistic to say it's not an if, it's a when. It'll probably be 2-3 years, and it'll be an ultra low-cost carrier that's servicing that airport right now. International, a little bit more longer road to hoe. If one comes, it'll probably be a UK one not coming out of London, but we do dance with international carriers at least once a year. Yes, ma'am.
Two quick questions. One, you had a lot of interesting slides that are not in our notebooks.
Yes.
Could those be provided?
Absolutely. I threw the curveball, and I promise you, you will get that.
Good information.
Thank you.
The other thing, talking about the airport, and you were saying the Legion is now #1, but they only fly on Sundays and Thursdays. Is there any plan for additional coverage by a Legion, or are they going to stay?
Seasonality, they'll go to like cities like Pittsburgh during the spring training 4 days a week. It's their model that works. A lot of the ultra low-cost carriers, that new terminal's dark on Tuesdays. There's no business. So the airport's actually going to use it for chamber events and all that. We had our National Tourism Week celebration with Sarasota. But that model, I think what you need to look at, you're going to see Breeze, in my opinion, be the fastest growing ultra low-cost carrier in the U.S. in the next 3 to 5 years. Just their model. That's the guy, David Nealman, who started up JetBlue and Azul. The Airbus A220 is the most efficient long-range jets on the planet. So look for them to significantly grow in our airport. And so so you may have some overlap markets. So if Allegiant's not running on a Thursday, maybe Czech Breeze would be going to that same market on the same day at some point. But they don't do daily unless there's extreme amount of demand. It's all about the model. These network planners that we meet with, they all look like they're 12-year-old guys. They're absolutely brilliant, but it's hard to figure out their world. Is there any Florida transportation dollars that would help offset some of the cost of the ferries, or Yeah, be it's a getting great into question, Brett. transportation? We are blessed to have a great grants team in the county led by Michelle Davis. The board's been really good at hiring some third-party grant writers. We are turning over every rock. Charlie Bishop, he's a freak in regards to finding money, and that's what you want as a leader of this county. So we have all the match dollars that we need. So even arts and cultural grants, we're looking for money to build more docks or piers, because it gets pretty expensive. So we're right with you, and they're like sharks right now, just looking for grant opportunities. Talking to the MPO. The good and the bad about the MPO is when they put it on their priority list, you're not getting it till 5 years later. So, and you do have a lot of impatient department heads and a very impatient county administrator. And that's the county administrator that you want, right? We can easily say, oh, that's just the government way. Not in this county. Anybody else? Such a pleasure. You can see I have fun. It's important to have fun because I'm going to close at this. I'll tell you a quick story. I have a tendency of being a little loose in a government meeting, commission meeting. And in 2021, I had to do a rare presentation. and I dropped a one-liner at the board, and I got a little chuckle, but I got a weird look. And something told me just to take a pause and step back. And I said, Commissioners, if I can just stop for a minute, I want to explain to you why I tried to be funny. And I got really weird. I got 7 faces looking at me. But here's why it's important, because when they are doing meetings to serve our residents, there's some anxiety that can occur, right? There's some angst that can occur, a lot of intensity. And if Goofy Elliot can come in every once in a while and make them laugh, what does it do for the brain? It brings oxygen to the brain faster. It calms down, lowers blood pressure, right? It relaxes everybody. And now they have a better chance to making a responsible decision. And I kid you not, it was the most surreal thing in my career. I had 7 heads go like this. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'll stay professional, but laugh, okay? Let's be serious and step up for the customer, the residents, but let's have fun and be candid and be transparent. And we're not afraid. We're secure people. I am not afraid to say, hey, you know what? I screw up a lot. Guys like Justin clean it up a lot, but I learned from my mistake, so I don't do it twice. So in any event, I know my time is up. The Oscar music did not rise. God bless you all. Thank you so much. I'm here for you, okay?
Thank you so much, Elliot, especially from the CVB team. So that concludes our session today. Next week, we will hear from Community and Veteran Services. That is the last session that will be held here in the chambers. So please refer to your agenda and to the emails that are sent out on a weekly basis. If you do not receive that information, please see me afterwards if you have any questions pertaining to that. I will not be here next week, but our lovely Neighborhood Connections team will facilitate the session next week. So on that note, thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.